All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague on Portland Sports Leader 105.1 The Fan and the Fan Sports Network. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody.
What is happening?
Still no swag.
No, he's still out.
He's still out.
We'll see. We'll see how long he's going to be out for. He's milking this thing at this point.
I kind of had that.
Yeah. See you guys on Wednesday.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
I got nipples too, and we're all getting milked right now. Wait, what?
It's an odd statement by you.
Hey, it's early in the morning. What do you want from me, you know?
There is a bit of a Zoolander in him, I think, like,
I got the black lung. I can't breathe.
waking up at 8:30 with his coffee.
Walking down into his living room.
Emailing us, you boys okay?
Here's your schedule for the week. I'll see you on Thursday.
It's going to change in an hour.
It's not like anything happened this weekend, so who cares if he's not here today, right? It's pretty boring Monday show. Nothing really going on. My team certainly didn't play. We had another bye week, I think. Nothing happened with your football team. The Mariners aren't 3 wins away from a World Series appearance. Nothing going on.
I had Young Hansen went off.
Hey, let's get to it. 7 o'clock, top of the hour. I'd rather talk about that than what happened in Eugene this weekend.
Should we lead off with Young Hansen?
The show with We are now a Blazer show.
It's
It's basketball season, right? We're firing Dan Lanning. He's done. It's basketball season around here, okay? We're moving on. Next sport. What's up next on the calendar?
You know, at this rate, I don't know if I'm surprised anymore about who gets fired at what point for how much money. I think I'm done being surprised.
And nothing makes any sense anymore. I'm so confused. $50 million, who cares, right? Don't need to work anymore.
When you're getting private equity, $2 billion infused into your conference, of course they're going to go, well, can we get some of that?
When's that check going to clear? And how much are we getting? Oh, we're getting that much? All right, we can pay $50 million to a coach and not work anymore.
Losing your minds over 5 minutes of Young Hansen preseason against Drew Eubanks.
Well done, Blazer fans.
That's great.
Well done, Blazer fans.
Hey, you need something to lift you up going into the season.
Yes.
At least Young is delivering.
There is nothing that epitomizes Blazer fans more than that. When you see that preseason box score and him torching another team.
Oh, yeah.
And just, here we go. From game one to this guy's going to be a project. He might be back and forth between the G League. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play once Robert Williams comes back healthy, too. Guys, this guy might be a problem this year.
I don't know.
See
that spin and score?
He had a little spin move.
See that corner three?
Going to the rack. He could shoot it. He could space the floor. He's feeling pretty good right now.
Had a dime to shade.
Yeah. Rookie of the year bet.
No, seriously, though, I wouldn't. I think I am done being surprised about who gets fired at any one point in that sport.
Well, our buddy Pate has been teasing this for a week plus, and it looks like a brilliant thing now because $50 million of James Franklin yesterday.
Sure,
but he is setting it up as this is going to be the craziest one we've ever seen in terms of coaching carousel. He's teasing it as there are programs who aren't even on your radar whose jobs are going to be massive jobs that are going to be coming open.
I heard that, and then I try to do what everybody else does. I wonder who he'd be talking about, and I know I'd bank if you were to bet, right? If I treated it like a roulette table, you could put a little everywhere.
A couple of chips here, a couple of chips there.
I know I got chips on Florida and Florida State.
Yes, those are smart bets right there.
And the way everybody's just saying I don't care about $50 million buyouts, yeah, what's Norvell's? I think it's 50 or 55.
Yes.
What do they care at this point? They suck.
Talk about private equity. They wanted their own private equity deal. Now they might go secure it to fire their head football coach.
Would you like to lead off the show with a fun college football factoid?
I would love to.
As of today, October 13th, Florida State hasn't won an ACC game in 387 days. I want you to say that to yourself out loud. 300.
They went undefeated the year before that.
In 87 days since Florida State won an ACC game.
Ouchies. That hurts. The ACC ain't a juggernaut either. There's some winnable games in there, and we're losing to who are we losing to?
I want you to think for a quick second.
After beating Alabama in week 1, Florida State's back, baby.
This show it may get a little dark on the text line and the YouTube chat, and maybe even from you. It was a rough weekend. Dare we say?
Uh-oh.
one of the worst weekends in the state of Oregon in general for the fan bases?
Oh, has to be near the top of the list.
My team just outright quit to get the coach fired. The coach continued to say, we got to build. He refused to give Wake Forest any credit at halftime.
Another halftime gem from a former Oregon
We're
State
doing
coach.
it. They're not doing it. Like, are you watching what I'm watching?
Dude, you're down 30-0. What are you talking about right now?
And then he gets fired, and then some players come, he's a great coach. It's like, no, you're not indicating that at all by your effort.
Maybe he should have played a little bit harder if you wanted him to keep his job.
And then the team down south, it's just, we'll get into that today. That's obviously going to be a big part of the show.
Yeah, what the hell happened there? We suck again!
But imagine as bad as you may feel.
Sure.
To say out loud, Oregon hasn't won a conference game in 387 days. Your brain you can't even fathom your team doing that.
Couldn't process it.
And that's what's happening at not Iowa State, not Charlotte, Florida State.
A team who went undefeated 2 years ago and was hosed out of a playoff appearance. That Florida State. A team who within the last 15 years has won a national championship.
Man.
And competed in college football playoffs. That Florida State team cannot win a conference game. It's bananas. And it all flew in the face this weekend of there's been this pushback from people of like, well, now with the new House settlement, you got to pay players. Programs are going to be a lot more cautious about firing coaches.
I remember hearing that.
There's not as much money around anymore. We got to pay the players. So they're going to be willing to, work through some of these things. And then Penn State goes, no, we're not. And I think Florida State are good bets.
Yep.
I'd put a couple of chips maybe on Auburn. We'll get to that game today. They got hosed, but if their season
they got hosed and then they didn't respond.
They didn't respond at all. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy at the moment,
but those are three we're not surprised by. I need a surprise one.
I'd throw Oklahoma in the mix, and I know that might seem funny. They did just lose this weekend.
No, I could see them losing.
They go on the road to South Carolina this week. Their offense looks a little broken.
He clearly wasn't ready to play.
He got hit again in the thumb, and it started bleeding again.
Dude, all his throws were behind his and he's a good player. That was being rushed from injury.
Yes, trying to get him back for that big rivalry game. They should have just played the backup.
I'll give you one that I think it's a good job. Rare moment in history. I told Jeff Russ this for the show.
Oh.
Rare opportunity. Divorced married couple that seemed like they'd be together forever.
Oh.
Do they reunite and get remarried? Jonathan Smith, Michigan State.
He's definitely getting fired.
He is definitely getting canned.
Yeah, you can't get blown out at home to UCLA. That was a must-win game for them.
They got destroyed, and they changed quarterbacks.
They're winless in conference play.
He's done with Aiden Childs.
He's just, they benched him.
The Mila Jovich kid or whatever the kid's name is.
UCLA good now? What? Did that happen?
I don't know, man.
No, I don't know how to make sense
of job.
Is that all of a sudden? Is Jed
Franklin?
Is Jed Fish smart to go to UCLA if he takes that job now? I'm so confused. I don't know what to make of it, man. He's without a doubt getting fired. There's no chance he keeps his job.
It's
over,
at this point. Dude. It is. So they hated him when he got hired.
They did. They didn't like the hire from the get-go.
And they hated him last year, and they hate him now. He's like, we're trying to be urgent.
Yeah.
And the writers are making fun of him now.
Yeah.
That is obviously over.
After and this one isn't a surprise, but I think the buyout would make it a surprise. Wisconsin might be the worst team in all of college football.
I think they're the worst team in that conference for sure.
It's not even close because it was UCLA, and then they've risen from the ashes. Northwestern has a conference win, so you got to give them that. They just beat Penn State on the road. Wisconsin's over, dude, and I don't know if they're going to win a game this year.
I don't know where it is.
Outside of that, I don't know where the other surprises might be unless there's like rumblings of a guy who's considering going to the NFL or something along those lines, and creating an opening at a big-time program.
I don't think there is,
because Kelly's not getting fired at LSU.
No.
And DeBoer's not getting fired.
Well, are you sure Kelly's not getting fired at LSU if they lose like another game or two?
I mean, I don't know. They're 5-1 right now. They won this weekend and won pretty, but they won.
Pretty.
And they're,
It continues to not be pretty.
Can their defense get them to 10-2? They got Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma left on the schedule. Can you win 3 of those 4 games?
I could see him losing 3 of those 4 games.
I absolutely could.
It's a coin flip with them, so maybe that's the one.
Could be. That'd be a pretty big one. That'd be a big domino if it fell.
That's the biggest job of all the jobs, isn't it?
I would
or
tend
to
to
put
agree.
Florida in there.
Florida and LSU 1A, 1B, depending on how.
I still think Florida's just like they're that one hire away from like, oh, crap, they're back.
I think a lot of these places are, and that's why it's so tantalizing to do. But the fear is, and this is good, we'll talk about it with Franklin today, the fear is the alternative of that. Like, we had a coach at Florida who was winning 9 or 10 games every year. They fired Dan Mullen. How's it gone since they fired him?
Not great, Bob.
Not great. And now you're going to go hire another coach. Like, that's the problem here. I don't mind taking the risk, but you got to acknowledge there could be a drop-off.
Minus your sports fandom, did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, outside of that, it was a pretty good weekend. Little guy had a great time at the Duck game. We
Yeah.
didn't last the whole game, which is fine with me. I was like, all right,
You kind of knew you wouldn't.
I'm watching the game the rest of the way in the car on the way home. I'll be all right.
Did the wife drive?
She came down because her folks have season tickets. So I went down early for the pregame show. She drove
Gotcha.
down with them, and then we careened back together.
Gotcha.
When we left, but he had a great time. He saw the Duck. He was all fired up, and so it was a little. It was a good reminder of where I'm at in life. Of that was a fun core memory for me. He's not gonna have any clue, but a core memory, like in a day that was really depressing and dark. Of like, what happened? Does my team suck now? To have that moment and to like, I took him down on the field. He was walking around, had a meltdown because he wanted to run on the field during warmups.
Well,
and
of course.
like you
sees the
can't,
players, in the gear.
you can't quite go in between the white lines, buddy. They're a little bit bigger than you, and they might run you over. It's not gonna end well.
Imagine the Danimal just ran him over in his pregame pump up.
Come on, yeah.
Who are you?
A highlight of the pregame show is Lanning running over a toddler. What is happening in Eugene, Oregon right now?
You think Lanning had any? Well, I don't think he did, but any regret of
Yes.
taking the shirt off
Yes.
on game day?
Yes,
and-
he absolutely did. Yes, he absolutely did. You just,
I missed it.
I didn't.
Coog Lutz told me about it, so I went and rewatched it because I turned it on late. I slept in Saturday, and I turned it on at like 7:55, so it was light out.
Yeah,
And then Coog Lutz told me about it, so I went and found it, and I was like, oh, man, he got on the chair and everything.
he did it. He went full McAfee, tarps off on
did.
college game day.
He did.
It's a tough look when you do that and lose. Not gonna lie, it's like jumping into a pool and then losing a recruit. It's not something that you want to have happen. But I appreciate the effort.
In this world of college football, even if it doesn't, age well in the moment, I think it's all becoming the WWE anyway.
A little bit of that.
So it's like, I'm selling my program.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah,
We're
there's a lot of
fired
that.
up.
Yep.
The game day crowd was great. That was basically the only highlight of the day. They were packed and ready to go. I have a lot of criticisms of the Oregon student section from time to time because they don't care and they show up late, and it drives me nuts as somebody who went there. But they were awesome on Saturday morning. That was one of the few bright spots for a really dark Saturday.
Well, and you guys also made history on Saturday morning.
Oh, what was our history? I didn't see that.
You have officially now, you have the worst field goal kicker for the McAfee check in the history of that event.
He's probably better than the actual kicker we got.
Whoa. It's a beef legend.
You want him back? You can take him back. Can we trade? Who's your kicker? Well, you guys
Didn't he only
can't
miss
kick.
one kick?
Dude, he sucks.
Come on. He just only
He
missed
missed
one.
a kick at Penn State that almost cost him the game. That loomed rather large when we're going to overtime.
Everybody knows. Almost doesn't count.
Can we, how is it possible? My entire lifetime, Oregon has never had a good kicker.
He was good last
He
year.
was not good. He sucks. He's never been good. He wasn't good at Oregon State. He tried to run in a
Whoa,
fake
whoa,
field
whoa,
goal.
whoa, whoa,
This
whoa,
guy
whoa.
sucks. Get
He
him
was-
off my team.
He actually was good at Oregon State.
How
That's why
do-
you guys grabbed him.
Why can't we make a 28-yarder and Indiana has a kicker that can boot a 60-yarder?
Dude, that kid-
Make sense of that for me.
Dude,
What?
he had some room on that kick,
I
too.
thought we got all the money in the world to buy players. Can we go buy that guy at halftime? What are we doing? Find a kicker that can make a field goal, damn it.
Would be funny if that tattooed kicker was on your team next year.
God, dude, go get him. And all their linebackers. Their linebackers are good. Go
They're
get them, too.
Dude, they had some DTs and
Yes.
linebackers. Their front seven was impressive.
Does Surratt have any eligibility left? Can we go get him, too? He's a pretty good wide receiver. I want him, too.
We'll get into that. It is a loaded show today. There is a lot to discuss. Let's get it going. What a weekend. We'll start there. Dirt and Sprague, it's good to be with you. We start next on a Monday edition. Dirt and Sprague 105.1 The Fan. Bill Orm's going to be on with us at 8 a.m. for the Daily Ticker today. We'll get to all the local dealings. We'll start that mostly at 7. We'll start with the Ducks. Oregon State flat out quit, and then their coach got fired, and then their athletic director is still going to be allowed to make the next hire. So I can't wait to hear his press conference today. I'm sure it's going to be uplifting.
All have nothing but faith in him to get that one right, because his credibility has been certainly built up to a point that there's nothing but trust there.
Remember what we talked about a week ago? It's like, why would you just hire like a Brandon Cooks to be your GM at this point in this world of college football? And who tweeted? Brandon Cooks. How about a former player panel to help with the future of the program? Corvallis special built with blue-collar workers. Program should match it. It's not just on the head coach. It's everyone involved.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's an active NFL player basically saying, I want to be involved.
I want to get that guy who's got some money. Let's get him around. If Dame can do it for Weber State, why can't we hire an NFL player to be our GM right now?
Tony Parker, amount of days away, by the way, from the Trailblazers season tipping off.
How about that?
9.
9 days away.
9.
You're a Niner in there next week. We're almost there.
I had to debate of Tony Parker being my number 9 or leaning Iguodala or Rondo, but it's Tony Parker by all means.
Has to be Tony Parker.
It's Tony Parker.
And I was a big Rondo guy. I liked Rondo, but he's not quite Tony Parker level.
Do you mean top-rated flag football quarterback Rajon Rondo?
that he is. He is a dual sport athlete, so maybe when he wins a gold medal, it will change things a little bit.
He'd enter the Bo Jackson Dion conversation if he won a gold flag football. I'll tell you that much.
One of the greatest two-way athletes we've ever seen, man.
What an insane weekend! I mean, it really was. I when I'm doing the show stuff, I'm sitting down. I'm just like, do I start with this? Do I start with that? And I'm always just like, you know what? Let's just kind of touch on all of it. It was absolutely nuts. Bray is finally out of his misery. Penn State, like, are you panicking? I think you panicked.
I think you panicked.
Maybe you get a coach that nobody sees coming that's going to make this better.
$50 million to not work anymore.
Over 3 games.
$50 million. They legitimately, at the time of the firing, they were 15 days removed from being undefeated in the number 3 ranked team in the country. There was like a picture of him on College game day for the whiteout game when Oregon was there, sitting next to Nick Saban, who's wearing like a weird Nittany Lion
They all went
costume.
wide out.
They went wide out, but he put on like the mascot costume too. And it's like, imagine looking at this, watching this College game day and saying in 15 days, he's going to get fired. I never would have believed you if he said that.
And we kind of like jokingly said if he lost this weekend in Northwestern, wouldn't be surprised if they fired him. I got to admit, I got the alert because I actually didn't watch the game.
I didn't either.
I saw it after it went final, so I went and saw some I'm like, how?
What?
And then I saw Aller got hurt. He's out for the year. I went and watched Franklin's post game just because I knew it'd get kind of spicy. And, you know, credit to him. Say what you want about him. They ask him point blank, like, should you still be the coach? And he doesn't even get mad. He's like, you know, I'm really, like, he just answers the questions very professionally. I know that doesn't matter to anybody, but I thought that was, not every coach handles it that way.
He seems like a genuinely good dude.
He does.
Like, in that profession that's full of snakes, he feels like one of the rare ones.
You then had 15 innings of Friday night baseball that just, like, if you were not a Tiger or Mariner fan, oh my God, just end this.
Just somebody score a run,
Put a
please.
runner on second after 12. Can we just... I could not believe it. So I couldn't imagine how Mariner fan was handling it they cared and they're emotionally invested on not choking at home.
How many times in a row did we say this has to be the time they're going to score the game-winning run?
At least 9.
First and second, nobody out. This has to, okay, this is the time they're going to do it. And nope, double play. Lead off double. This has to be the time nope, can't get a bunt down. Like over and over and over again.
And then they just completely destroy Toronto's offense in game 1, 2 days after surviving a 15-inning thriller at home. In game 1 of the LCS, they're 3 games away from their first World Series.
Glad we weren't on the air in between that because I definitely would have said going into game 1 of the ALCS, like, there's no way the M's have anything in the tank right now. You can't play that long, jump on a bird, fly to Toronto, use every player on your roster. Every pitcher essentially had to throw multiple innings, and here we are in game 1 of the ALCS. They've been waiting for you. There's no chance you win that game in there. They won the game.
Dirt found out who's your daddy.
I did, yeah. I got a daddy now, man. I got a daddy problem.
You don't got to Google him anymore.
Did we just rotated like a red and white team that we can't beat? It was Stanford, now it's Indiana. Is Indiana going to be the thorn in our side going forward? Did I learn that this weekend?
All the jokes are going to fly until you beat them at home, but like the whole Indiana coming to Autzen, can we not do it anymore?
It's like, what are the odds, man? Last 2 times they've been in Eugene, Oregon. We can't handle Indiana football. There's something about them.
Herbert just with the strength of a million men throwing to Lad McConkey, who somehow jukes the living hell out of a DB and then gets a game-winning field goal. My football team can't stay healthy in the NFL.
God, another one.
It's over.
Fred Warner is done.
Dude, you can't survive it. There's just like
I feel like with every injury, though, I've said that with every guy that's gone down. I'm like,
they're also sack away from getting the ball back down 2019.
They still almost won the game.
Crazy.
They were in the ball game the entire time, despite Warner. That one was gruesome, though. And of all the guys to get hurt,
instantly saw it and you went.
Juwan Jennings, I think, after the game said he had to take nausea medicine because it was so gross.
The foot's pointed the wrong way.
Yeah, when that happens, it just.
And he's on the gurney, just like, come on, guys, don't quit. I'm like, do you not feel any pain?
Did they already shoot you up with something? Are you already on pain medicine? That was quick.
The Seahawks just beat the living hell out of the Jaguars.
They did, yeah. That was an impressive win on the road.
It really was.
I feel good about punting on the decision to call Jacksonville a legit team because I'm just not quite sure yet. I'm still waiting. I got to see a few more weeks of this thing.
Well, they've had some moments like that where you're like, what?
Are you good? I don't know if you're good.
I don't know how to. Yeah, I don't know.
You have good wins, but I don't know if you're a good team.
I don't know either.
I don't think that you are. I still don't trust your quarterback.
This year, maybe more so than even last year when I had to pay Schultz $50. Boy, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers might just be really just. You know when you get pied on your birthday or somebody dips your head in at the wedding as a joke? Like, boy, he's not just dipped my head. He's now smearing my face in it at this point.
You got frosting all over your face.
All over.
And you could lick it for a while, but ultimately you don't want that much frosting on your face.
No.
Are they good? Are they good? Are the Steelers good?
Might be great.
Are they good? Are they a contender?
Damn it.
Is Aaron Rodgers back? I got so many questions, man. So many questions. It was like to have it all start on Friday night and have it go 15 innings. I had my alarm set for like 4 o'clock in the morning because I had to get up and drive to Eugene. And that game's going till like 10:15. I'm like, bro, I need to get some sleep here because I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow. It's going to be a long day, and I got to chase a 2-year-old around Autzen Stadium for a couple of hours. This is going to be a blast. So I think I had reached the point in the 15th inning where I said, this is it for me. I don't care if I miss it. It's too late. Like, you got one more shot here. Because once you're that far down the rabbit hole, who's to say that thing doesn't go 21 innings? And how long am I committing to this? Do I give it another inning and then another inning? And then, so you just, at some point in the night, if you have to get up early the next day, you got to know when to pull the shoot. And the 15th inning was my shoot. And they thankfully ended the game so I was able to see the end of it.
I thought like the baseball gods, I always kind of thought they would win, even though the Tigers, the Carpenter home run and he was really good. I kind of just was like, the Tigers are going to max out at 2.
Yeah.
Right?
They're not scoring more than 3 runs in this game. No chance in hell.
So I kind of felt like the Mariners would win, but then they kept choking moments away. And are they going to have to win this in the 18th to overcome the demons of the 18-inning garbage game they had to play against the Astros a couple years ago?
Dude, could you imagine how demoralizing that would have been for the people in attendance? Like, that would have been one of the most painful losses a fan base has ever experienced.
100%
After everything that they've been through,
agree,
and they were all like, my team when they won the World Series in I think it was the 12 one, maybe it was 14. They had a game in Washington that went 18 innings in the divisional round, and Brandon Belt hit a solo home run in the top of the 18th inning. I remember watching. Is that
when Nationals fans left?
They all left the game.
They left because it was like 1
half
a.m.
full and went late into the middle of the night. And I'm looking around Seattle Friday night. I'm like, dude, that place is packed.
Yeah,
they were living and dying.
They stood
on
the whole
every pitch.
time.
They were standing for like 7 hours. They played 2 full games almost. If you would have found a way to lose that game, it just would have been such. And now you look up, and it's funny because the almost bigger story of the weekend is that they won Game 1 of the ALCS more so than it was on Friday night.
And then Sunday's capped off with Lions-Chiefs scuffle.
Nice little scuffle at the end of the game.
Branch, dude.
What are we doing?
A little bitch.
Why are we punching people after a game?
Mahomes said good game. You don't have to. Okay. Then
like,
Schuster did it. And then you slap him in the face.
Calm down, buddy.
What are you doing?
No need for that.
And he apologized, but still, it's like, come on, man.
And the Chiefs might be good again. Damn it. Yeah. Every time I try and
they're back.
Every time I try and bury them.
Right when you bury them.
Lose.
You as the Chiefs, me as the Steelers. We bury them, and then they just make us look stupid every time.
Every time, man. They're going to lose this weekend, and I'll bury them again, and then they'll win 4 in a row. You just can't kill them.
Just an absolutely insane weekend. And we'll start organizing it a little bit here. Let's be fair. The M's 15-inning winner, winning Game 1 the way they did against Toronto. I mean,
impressive, man.
I think we should talk about that. We'll go there, and then we'll get into some football dealings. Dirt and Sprague back with Mariners winning Game 1 of the ALCS. But first, Russ with a sports update.
Now, Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, the Seattle Mariners go into Toronto, and steal a home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh got the Mariners on the board with a solo shot in the 6th, and Jorge Polanco did the rest of the offensive lifting. RBI singles in the 6th and 8th innings. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center, 2:08 first pitch on Fox and FS1. Logan Gilbert and Trey Savage is your pitching matchup. We'll have coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. Following their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 to number 8 in the most recent AP poll. Ohio State, Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana Rockets up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to 4, and Ole Miss falls a spot to 5 after holding off Washington State for a 24-21 win. After starting the season 0-7, Oregon State announced the firing of head coach Trent Bray. In his second season, he has a record of 5-14. Penn State, of course, announcing the firing of head coach James Franklin following their third consecutive loss. After starting out number 2 in the preseason rankings, Franklin is still owed $49 million. ESPN's Heather Dinich reports no other staff changes are expected. And another double dip tonight for Monday Night Football at 4:15 on ESPN. The Bills 4.5-point favorites at the Falcons, and at 5:15 on ABC, the Bears are 5.5-point underdogs at the Commanders. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks, the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Carl Ravage on the call, ESPN Radio. Saw on Fox last night, Cal Raleigh goes yard on Gossman. Kevin Gossman. I thought a couple things.
Gassman would be a cooler name, though.
Yeah, I mean,
if we're being
his
honest.
nickname, if it isn't.
The Gas Man.
Yeah. 15-inning game that you survive at home and then fly to Toronto 2 days later, play game one. I said before the show to you, I honestly was like, weird things happen in sports, and when we think teams can least do it is sometimes when they do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised they won. I was more shocked and impressed by just the pitching. I mean, Bryce Miller was unbelievable.
They needed him to be, too, because they used every arm in their arsenal 48 hours earlier.
Yes, they did. They had two starters. Gilbert and Castillo pitched in that 15 inning.
Yeah.
And so then they go to the bullpen, and they ended it exactly 100 pitches, 1 run given up, and it was the first pitch the game Springer went yard.
That was it. That was the only offense they had.
Yeah, what did they retire? 23 of the final 24 batters that Toronto put up to the plate. They retired them and just completely shell-shocked the city of Toronto. An impressive game one by Seattle, and it wasn't just that they did it, Dirt. I thought Dan Wilson outmanaged the Toronto guy. I thought he did little things here and there that, if I was Toronto's manager, it's easy to say, your guys, you've been with it 160-plus games. I would have left Gossman in. I wouldn't have pulled him even after the home run and the walk.
His pitch count wasn't that high.
No.
I don't even, about 80 pitches, somewhere around there.
You got to trust your studs.
Yeah.
And then, the lesser of Brandon's comes in, Brendan Little, and he gives up the run that goes ahead. And I'm just like, yeah, I would have left my guy in. Wilson let Miller go a little bit, even after the walk.
Yeah.
I thought Dan Wilson managed a great game, but also the Mariners played exceptionally well.
They did. I mean, they needed a dominant performance from their pitching staff, and they got it. It was a really bad omen to start the game. When you give up a home run on the first pitch, it's like, that's not a good feeling. This might not be our day. We're just happy to be here, maybe. And then that was it for Toronto. They had 2 hits the rest of the game. It was insane how well their pitching staff performed. They desperately needed a long start from their guy, and they got it because they had to use so many arms on Friday night. And then, the thing with Gossman is he throws so many. I remember him. He was a Giant a couple of years ago. He's been a really good pitcher for them for a number of years. He's been one of the more consistent arms in all of Major League Baseball. He throws that splitter constantly, and Cal Raleigh just sat on one. He finally got one that was high enough that he could get his bat on it, and he wasn't chasing something in the dirt. And when he hit that, you kind of felt like all the momentum was back on their side, and they were going to find a way back into this because there was nothing that Toronto was doing offensively that was scaring you at that point. They were getting no pressure, no base runners, no guys in scoring. It wasn't like it was every inning Seattle's getting out of a jam. Oh my God, how did they do that? There was nothing. They had no offense.
2 pitch at bats mostly.
That was it. Just boom, boom, pop out, boom, boom, ground out, strike out. I mean, just over. As somebody who loves quick baseball games, I loved every second of that thing because it felt like it was over in barely 2 hours. You mentioned the 100 pitches that Seattle threw. I think that's the lowest that we've seen in a playoff game from a staff in a win since 2018. The Dodgers did that to the Brewers. I saw that stat floating around last night. And that was a Toronto offense. If you go back to watch their series against the Yankees, it carried them. That's how they were smoking New York's pitching and hitting bomb after bomb. And Vladdy Jr. had multiple home runs and a grand slam. And that's how they got out of the divisional round to get to the LCS. And then in game one, you shut them down. And so now you've already accomplished what you needed to accomplish. You just wanted to go get a split in Toronto. You've already done that. You're playing with house money today. You got all the momentum and all the pressures on Toronto's side. You're feeling great if you're a Mariner fan right now.
So today's first pitch is a 103. Do I have that correct?
1 o'clock first pitch.
So it's Logan Gilbert who did pitch in that 15-inning game. I think he pitched
2 innings, 3
2
innings?
or 3. Yeah,
somewhere
I
in
think
there.
it was that. And then he's going against that Yay Savage kid.
Yes.
Or guy. I don't know how old that guy.
Yeah.
One of those players.
Whatever.
He was really good in what I saw.
He was.
I'm learning about the Toronto Blue Jays as we go here. I know some of their players, but
Did you guys say 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's
No,
the time difference?
2:03. It's a 2:03.
Oh, 2
pitch.
o'clock. Okay.
I'm all mixed up on my time zones, and then my computer is East Coast, but then it says
That doesn't help.
Yeah, it certainly throws me off.
Yeah, I'm just bad with math, so I counted wrong. It is a
That's
2
okay.
o'clock. 2 o'clock start time.
It's an afternoon first
Still,
pitch.
a middle of the day game 2 in the ALCS, which you get on these games. It always drives fans crazy, and I totally understand it. But this is what happens when both series are happening on the same day. They're not going to put the games head to head against each other. I'd prefer that they just stagger them, but then you become the NBA,
Yeah,
right?
you
When you're
don't wanna
giving
miss-
long lays
right,
off in between
right.
games, and
I think this is the right way to do it, as frustrating as it might be. But can we be honest here? I would say in the post-COVID world, I know a decent enough people that work from home
Dude, you find a way
to know
watch
that
it.
you're not really working from home all day.
Yeah, you have it on your phone at your desk if you need to.
And we have people in our office that are, look, I love our sales staff. I also know that our sales staff find ways to watch TV while they're here.
Yes.
So I think people will figure it out. And then people that are not working at that time, people will watch their team no matter what. I don't know where M's fans are. They're probably sitting in a place of extreme confidence, but / don't want to get over your skis because you want it all to settle.
Yeah.
I will just tell you, I look at this and I say, I go back to my question that you chuckled at, and rightfully so, given the history.
Sure.
This team feels a little different. There's something like Polanco was kind of left for dead, and now he can't stop hitting in every RBI opportunity possible. So
Been huge in the postseason for him.
Raleigh's been absolutely a beast. Julio doesn't have as many gone yard, or his average isn't amazing, but I
Sure.
still think he is a threat every time he gets up. You're always nervous about a Rosarena.
Yeah.
The M's lineup, you get Naylor in there. You kind of look at the M's lineup pair with the pitching, and I feel quietly confident. I wouldn't want to tell it to anybody if I was an M's fan, but I'd be thinking I love this. This team feels good.
You feel great right now, dude. You got a 1-0 lead in the ALCS, and that was a game that you were almost left for dead of they're probably not going to win. They got to be hungover off all the champagne from Friday night. And I don't know if you know this, but Seattle to Toronto is a pretty long flight that you got to go on. And so you're coming in hungover to game one, and you still found a way to win. You're feeling great. If you win today, if you win this afternoon and you win both games in Toronto, and you're coming home to Seattle with 2 wins away from the World Series.
Who would their game 3 guy be? Castillo?
I would imagine so. It should be noted, too, by the way,
or Kirby. It'd probably be Kirby, right? Because Kirby's on more rest, isn't he?
See. They have not announced yet their game 3 starter.
Well, I guess the definition of rest at this point for that M's team.
I think Kirby
it's
started
changed.
the game. Castillo
Yeah.
came in. Castillo's not going today, so I'd imagine Castillo game 3, Kirby game 4. I'd imagine, but who knows? Maybe you change it up a little bit. If there's you want to keep Castillo for game 4, they can kind of change up how they want to do it. For the scheduling note, though, this is, I believe, the only time this will happen. So for game 4s on Thursday, it'll be game 3 of the NLCS. You are the late game that night. The Dodgers and Brewers is the earlier start time.
Yeah.
So you're going to get it switched back and forth. Friday, it looks like if there is a game 5, if necessary in Seattle, that'll be an earlier start time. So it'll flip-flop at least a little bit. This is the one that you have to deal with in the middle of the day. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Mariner fan, you feel great. I think you're always cautiously optimistic, knowing your history.
Sure.
And knowing the pain that would cause if you lose 3 or 4 in a row and you lose in 5 and you're like, man, we were that close to getting there. But all the momentum is on your side, and now you got to go try and ride it as long as you can, including today. If you take a 2-0 series lead back to Seattle, you're feeling incredible about your chances of going to the World Series.
That's what I would think, too.
Yes. So today's a pretty big one for you.
3 wins away, man. We'll have to wait and see, but they get game 1 on the road in Toronto, and we'll see what they do with game 2. 2:03 p.m. first pitch, Gilbert versus Ye Savage. All right. We'll get to the Oregon Ducks. Everybody can pop off how they're feeling now.
Fire the coach. It's over. Fire everybody. Burn it to the ground.
2 more losses.
2 more.
Might have
Dude, it's
to.
done. We're moving on.
In that sport
This
anymore,
is not acceptable.
You guys
dude.
are becoming hockey.
What's the
that
buyout?
sport.
$800 million? Buy them out. Where you at, Phil? This is over.
Duck fan, how you're feeling today, what you saw, what were your takeaways, where you're at. We'll get to that top of the hour. Coming up next, the most unusual of the weekend. I'll tell you what it was. Next, Dirt and Sprague 105.1, The Fan. Hey, Dirt and Sprague here, hanging around for our great friends at Trajan Wealth. You've heard us talk about Trajan Wealth and the fine friends we've made over there as clients now. Trajan offers free consultations to get your retirement all lined up and planned out. You can reach them at 503-207-6000 or online at TrajanWealth.com.
Look, we can't count on the buyout that a head football coach in college gets. Nobody's going to pay me $50 million to not work anymore, although that would be great if they did. And I would immediately take the money to Trajan Wealth if I got it. But I don't have that money coming, so I got to start thinking about retirement. I thought things were in good shape until they gave my plan a second look. Turns out there were some big opportunities that I was missing. Now I got a clearer path to retirement. Way more peace of mind. They're fiduciaries, which means they'll put your needs first. I trust them in my future. You should too. Give them a call today, 503-207-6000. Visit them online, TrajanWealth.com.
503-207-6000 or online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services through Trajan Wealth LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Well, good morning. Happy Monday, everybody out there. A little bit of a wet one for us. We got rain in the forecast here, but I hope your Monday morning's going all right. Good morning to the YouTube, youtube.com/1051 The Fan.
Everybody's happy and in a good mood today.
Always.
Nothing but positivity in there.
That's what I've heard.
People uplifting people. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
It's
man.
the people uplifting people community,
That's
YouTube.
that's what we're all about, dude. Nothing but positivity.
You can reach the fan text line as well, 503-864-6326. We will be jumping in head first, like Scrooge McDuck,
what?
into the Oregon-Indiana situation.
Oh, they had a bye this week, I thought. Did they play? Was there a game?
It looked like they were on a bye.
It kind of did, didn't it?
I mean,
Looked like they no-showed. Did you know there was a game today?
You know, the unfortunate thing is I knew you were probably leaving the game with Teddy early,
Yeah.
and so then me and Swag were texting a little bit, and I'm like, are we ruining things? Because
No,
I figured you were keeping track.
I was
but-
watching. I just didn't have the ability to text. 'Cause
Yeah, no,
I
I
put
got
up
that.
Miss Rachel on the phone to keep the kid entertained. I'm trying to watch on the iPad, so I'm not. There's no texting abilities that are going on right now.
I figured as much, but I was like, crap, we might be ruining everything for him.
And then I got back and I'm like, all right, well, that sucked, guys. Hey, my football team lost today.
So your team lost.
Yeah.
My team lost, got fired, and the guy who should be also fired is going to make the next hire, and I'm sure his press conference is going to be uplifting today.
Yes, nothing but positivity there for sure.
I know Seattle fans happy. Huskies had a comeback, and
Yeah.
the Seahawks dominated in Jacksonville. Get it? Smith and Jigba.
I see what you did there.
They tweeted that out. I saw it.
I got you.
And then the Mariners obviously winning back-to-back games. Like, I know some people are mixed out there. I don't think anybody had a worse weekend.
Ooh, who had the worst weekend?
It's not even close.
Not even close. Who had the worst weekend?
And I'm not talking James Franklin because at least he'll get $50 million to feel okay about being fired.
$50 million is a lot of money.
God, I would take the Trent Bray special to be fired.
I would not coach for 5 years.
$4 million?
Go work in television if you want to or live on a beach. You're good.
The person that had the worst weekend of anybody in sports is a guy that didn't even participate in sports this weekend.
Oh.
Did you see what happened or did you hear what happened to Anthony Richardson?
Oh, getting hurt pregame? Dude, the Colts had 2 guys go down in pregame warmups.
Travarius Ward got a concussion in pregame, which makes you go, what did you do pregame to get a concussion? That's okay.
I saw did you see the video?
Of Ward?
Yeah.
No, I missed
So
it.
they were just running around warming up, and he collided with a tight end. They weren't looking, and
Gotcha.
the tight end was running around, and I
And
don't
he
know
was
what
doing
he
some
was
DD
doing.
stuff?
And they were looking
Okay.
on opposite directions, and they collided, and we went down.
Accidents happen, Bob. I don't know if there's anything worse to anybody out there that exercises than when something hysterically stupid happens to you. Anthony Richardson suffered an orbital fracture because one of the elastic bands snapped into his face. And I'm not laughing at him. I'm
No,
laughing at
it's
the
just-
circumstance of,
Yeah.
I think we've all had really stupid exercise moments.
Without a doubt.
Like whether you trip on a run or you trip off an elliptical or you lift a weight wrong and you instantly tweak your neck or your back, or you yourself have snapped an elliptical band.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson being benched for Daniel Jones at the start of the year was already bad enough. And then in the pregame, he's doing an elliptical, an elastic band exercise, snap, and swap right in the face. And he's broken his face because an elastic band hit him in the face.
I actually didn't see the response. I didn't see what caused it. I saw that he got hurt and it was an orbital fracture, but I didn't see that it was an elastic
It
band.
was an elastic band.
God, dude, that
Not enough
guy's...
tension on that band.
Talk about a brutal couple of week stretch from losing the job. Everybody's saying your organization is so stupid. How do you not start this guy? He's a top 5 pick. You're already giving up on him. Do you know what you're doing?
Right.
To now you're the talk of the NFL and Daniel Jones is playing at an elite level. So everybody's already forgotten about you and now you're going to be out for, I would imagine, an extended period of time. Can you come back from an orbital fracture in a week? Is that possible? He's got to miss a little bit of time here. Not that it matters because he's the backup quarterback, but that is brutal, dude. We've all embarrassing gym moments are terrible when they happen. I've almost fallen off too many treadmills to count where you're just like looking at your phone, not paying attention.
Oh, yeah, I've
and
had
then
that
your
too.
foot gets like too
Yes.
far off to the right or left where you're not on the track anymore. And you kind of do that like stumble and you look around. Did anybody else see that? Those are absolutely embarrassing. This just takes it to another level.
I haven't been in a gym in a while because I have my own gym at home now. But
Arnie, shout out
Arnie's. The last gym I was at, there was a stair machine, and I like to finish the workout on a difficult, thing. So I'm speeding the stair machine up. and I have on my phone YouTube TV to watch like NFL Live or something.
Yeah, you got to have something on.
And I'm watching and they started discussing something and I like was paying attention and then not paying attention to my foot.
Oh, no.
And I did the whole foot comes up but toe hits the stairs. It's
Yeah.
going down.
Not quite far enough.
And I tripped and I had to grab onto the thing and my legs were hanging as the stairs would go boom, boom, boom on my shins.
Banging your shin.
And I had these old people on the running machine or walking, just like looking at me like, you moron. And I'm just like,
I'm okay. I'm all right.
and I pull myself up and I finally get my footing and I'm just like, oh, I was so embarrassed. And even that's not worse than having an elastic band snap into your face and break your face.
That's near the top of the list of embarrassing injuries. There's random baseball ones over the years. Speaking of pregame, I remember there's a Giants player a couple of years ago who got hit in the head during pregame warmups, not paying attention at first base, and a ball hit him in the temple, and he missed like 2 months with a concussion. There was another pitcher one time who was cutting open some frozen chicken and sliced his hand open.
Those are always the worst
Like,
when you
just
find out.
water-
Shower or cutting
Yes.
incidents from the house.
Sure, just like random, like, that's how you got hurt?
Right.
I threw my back out picking my kid up last year. That happened. So that was a nice
Your
little
kid
moment.
didn't even weigh
He
anything
wasn't
at
even
that
that
point.
big, dude. He was like 6 months old, and I leaned over to pick him up off the ground, and you feel immediately like, oh, damn it, that's gonna hurt.
Well, if you have like a moment like that where you yourself, you're running or you're jogging and maybe you trip or you slide or something and you fall or you catch yourself, you instantly feel like the dumbest person who instantly becomes defensive of, I'm kind of athletic, I can do this.
I can handle this. I'm all right.
And so, like, that already feels worse. I can't imagine what it's like to actually be a pro athlete and
It's
right in your face.
right. Yeah.
And it's like you grab your eye. Like, is he in an eye patch now? And so you got one, and he's a pro athlete.
I
You're
hope
like,
that he's in an eye patch.
oh, dude.
That would at least
Imagine if
fill out the look.
The Colts backup quarterback has an eye patch on the sideline.
Is he able to play? How long are you out with an orbital fracture? What's
Actually,
the
I haven't
answer on
seen
that?
what his timeline is.
Because I'd imagine that's a pretty serious. I mean, that's got to be painful and pretty serious. But can he still see? Like, you're wearing a helmet, so does it hurt to get? I mean, I'm assuming it still hurts to get hit.
It sucks too because they have to label it freak elastic band accident, and you're like, it isn't a freak accident, but it looks terrible.
We got listeners on the text line saying that's why I'm never going to use elastic bands, dude.
Yeah.
You can't trust those things.
I have the same
Every time you're
feeling.
doing like a curl or doing something,
Yep.
you're like, is this not going to break on
I
me?
always wonder
is
that.
this strong enough right now?
know.
Because this is going to hurt like a bitch if it does. Snap.
I know people swear by them, but I'm anti. Give me traditional dumbbell,
Give me the weight, baby.
or I'll do just traditional pull-ups. Use my own weight as the weight. Like,
Yes.
I'm not using elastic bands, and now I'm really out on elastic bands.
Stay away from him, man.
He was taken to the hospital for that injury, by the way.
So that's pretty serious.
It's pretty serious.
Hospital tells you it's real.
Well, bad weekend for Anthony Richardson. Very bad weekend down in Eugene. Oregon Falls. Who's your daddy? Indiana. Hour number 2. We lead with that. Dirt and Sprague 105.1, The Fan. Hey,
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Seattle Mariners go into Toronto and steal home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh got the Mariners on the board with a solo shot in the sixth. Jorge Polanco did the rest with RBI singles in that sixth inning and also the eighth inning. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center, 2:08 first pitch on Fox and FS1. Logan Gilbert on the bump opposite Treya Savage. That's your pitching matchup. We'll have it coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. Following their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 to 8 in the latest AP poll. Ohio State and Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana rockets up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to 4, and Ole Miss falls a spot to number 5 after barely holding off Washington State. After starting the season 0-7, Oregon State firing head coach Trent Bray in his second season. Bray amassed a record of 5-14. Penn State announced the firing of head coach James Franklin following their third consecutive loss after starting out number 2 in the preseason rankings. Franklin is still owed $49 million, and we got another double dip for Monday Night Football. First, at 4:15 on ESPN, the Bills 4.5-point favorites at the Falcons. Then at 5:15 on ABC, the Bears are 5.5-point dogs at the Commanders. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Recruiting with Andrew Nemec, Thursday evenings at 7 after Isaac and Suk on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
In hour number 2, Dirt and Sprague here, 105.1 The Fan and the Fan Sports Network. Good morning. 105 FM, 105.1 FM, I should say. YouTube, youtube.com/1051 The Fan. Happy Monday, everybody. I know some of you, it's not a happy Monday. It's raining. Your team lost. I get it.
Well, even for your fan base, like that was pretty putrid and embarrassing, but a lot of people wanted your coach to get fired, so for some, there's a happy ending to the weekend.
Some didn't think it would happen.
Some didn't think it was. I certainly didn't think it was going to happen that quickly.
Yeah.
Even after how bad the game was on Saturday, I didn't think that I'd wake up to that news on Sunday.
What was his quote 2 games ago? Like, he's the right guy for the job. He's definitely the guy. Like
2 weeks ago. Your head coach did that with the special teams coach, and then a week later fired him, and then the AD did that with the head coach 2 weeks later.
We'll get to that at 8 a.m. with Orem. Maybe a peekaboo at 7:45. We'll see how this hour goes because...
Hey, what else happened this weekend? Anything big? We got smoked like a cig this weekend, dude. Dude, what happened there? What are we doing?
You know, if we go back to our last week's show, we talked about the juice, no juice. We talked about matchups, right? We comped rosters in ways, and I'm not mad at the way we covered it. If you would have told me last week, though, that Oregon not only loses but gets dominated like that in the second half, especially.
Yeah, where they have 50 yards of offense or something like that in the second half?
I think it was 63 total.
63 total.
My calculations are correct. They got 22 yards in absolute last-minute garbage time.
Yeah.
I actually 41 yards going into their final drive.
I turned it on. I didn't realize they dropped a Hail Mary at the end of the game, too, I guess. I did not watch at that point.
Yes.
Click.
I think it was Sadiq that dropped. I remember going like, how did you drop
People
that?
were upset. I just thought it was a Vegas thing. People are upset because it would have hit the over. The over would have hit had they caught that Hail Mary, and the under ended up hitting.
But just Indiana coming into Eugene and looking every bit of the Google me bitch stuff that Signetti has talked about.
Yeah.
Unbelievable performance by Indiana this weekend at Autzen Stadium, and leaving a lot of questions, I think, for some Duck fans out there of, whoa, like, we lost, and we lost that way?
Yeah.
That was impressive what the Hoosiers did at Autzen Stadium.
Without a doubt it was. I think the initial reaction can be difficult for a lot of people, and it goes back to the conversation we were having last week of just like, I had a buddy text me on Saturday night. He was like, how is it possible that Indiana is better at football than us. Like, how is that possible? And when you
Should have told him to Google it.
when you phrase it that way,
Because the coach was one of the reasons.
like I do think that's led to some of the hard. I think it led to the lack of juice for the game for a lot of people last week, and I think it has led to a reaction to that game that is just bewilderment of like, what, huh? But I think you have to take the labels off of it and view them just as a football team. And the biggest takeaway for me from the game was that's one of the best teams in the country. Like, Indiana is legit. Their front seven is nasty.
Oh, man.
They have elite wide receivers on the outside. Surratt absolutely ate Oregon up.
Yes, he
Mendoza outplayed Dante Moore in every way outside of one bad throw that he made, kind of
Falling
late,
backwards,
falling backwards.
yes.
That was really the only mistake that he made. He was better with his legs. He was better with decision-making. He was better with processing what defenses were doing. Like, the line of scrimmage was not a massive advantage for Oregon. Like, we thought it was going to be going in. Like,
Yes.
they outplayed Oregon in literally every category, not to mention just special teams. How about the 6-point swing at the end of the first half where you miss a chip shot? There's 20 seconds left, and they end up kicking a 60-yarder.
Yeah.
And instead of having the lead at halftime, you're give
down.
them the lead at
Right.
halftime, and then they get the ball coming out of the half. Like, so many little things piled up for them, and we can dive into the details of the matchup and all that. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was that team looks like they have all the pieces that they need. I don't know what their depth is behind some of their key guys if guys do get banged up, but you could say that for a lot of football teams. They're going to be a 28-point favorite essentially in every game remaining on their schedule. The only other challenging one that we circled for Indiana at the start of the year was they had to go on the road to Penn State, which
They have a new quarterback and a new coach.
nobody really
We'll get
scared
to
about that one
today.
anymore. So I think they're going to win. Like, I just would be shocked if they're not 12-0 at the end of the season and in
Yeah.
the Big Ten title game. And we'll get the Oregon stuff. I think there's a glass half full approach and a glass half empty approach. The one thing that I am fairly certain of is I think you have cost yourself an opportunity to defend your conference title. Like, I just
Because Ohio State and Indiana
Ohio State
might
does
run away
not
with
seem
it.
to lose, although we'll wait and see. They got to beat Michigan at the end of the year, and I don't know how tiebreakers would work if Oregon was to win out the rest of the way. But Indiana now having that win again, you need them to lose twice in order to jump over them, and they ain't losing twice with what's left on their schedule.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to get to. We have audio. Kurt Signetti, I thought, had a funny quote. So he did multiple interviews. We had the post-game audio, but one that he did with the CBS crew that was live on the panel.
Yeah, on the field after the game.
He talked about the program building, and he's not really doing the Google Me thing because he's like, I just felt like I had to do that to get attention to us, which
Smart.
brilliant.
Worked.
I love that he signed off with everybody's always going to tell you cookies over brownies. Or was it brownies over cookies? I couldn't remember which one he had it. I texted in the group chat. It's
You
like,
did.
That's a great point. Because, yeah, people are still going to crap on Indiana, even though they just beat Oregon at Oregon because they're Indiana.
Yeah.
But I think out here, that's not certainly a thing anymore. The stat that had me most blown away, and there's a lot people could point to, whatever your favorite stat is, that's fine. The stat that had me like most, oh my God, 6-1. Indiana had 6 sacks. Oregon had 1.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Like, it's one thing to say Indiana could create that pressure. We talked about the simulated pressures and the way that they kind of scheme up their own pressure because they don't have traditional 5-star edge rushers. Although, man, we learned a lot about their linebacker and their DTs.
Dude, yeah.
They had great games.
Trade you linebackers.
It was, well, I mean, it was amazing. It was just more like their ability to make that happen because you knew Oregon would prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about offensive line play. Indiana had their false start problems, sure.
They did, yeah.
Oregon had blocking issues. Like, the ones we talked about going into the Penn State game, that reared its ugly head. And I think the thing that surprised me the most was the lack of times I heard this name.
Mataya Uiagalelei.
He
Because
registered
Mendoza got rid of the ball quickly, man.
1 tackle.
Yeah.
It was Bear. It was Amari. Like, for the most part, the edge guys were taken out of this thing. So my stat that surprised me the most in this game was 6-1. Indiana sacks to Oregon sacks. That one, I think, dictated a lot of what we saw
without a doubt.
for both teams.
Well, we gave you the stat last week. Mendoza's release time on the year was like 2.6 seconds. He gets rid of the ball quickly, and that was the thing that you were going to hopefully throw a wrench in because then you could win up front and your edge rushers could get there. I went back and watched the game again on Saturday night because I'm a sicko, and that's what I do on Saturday nights, win or lose, because I'm just curious, like, what did I miss? What did it look like? There were a lot of times that they were there, like they were right there. They were in the backfield within 3 seconds. He just was was catching it, read, throw. Catching it, read, throw. And the ball was out of his hands rapidly. And so when you're getting rid of it that quickly, there's nothing that you can really do as an edge rusher. The few times that he did hold on to it, they were ultimately able to get to him. Amari Washington had the one early in the game where he just drove the right guard into him, basically, and had the sack early. But outside of that, he was getting rid of the ball so quickly. And I'll go the other way. Like, Oregon's offensive line is going to be talked about today, and they didn't play great by any stretch of the imagination. Their tackles have been leaky and pass pro all season long. They had some penalties. Poncho had a really bad hold on a scramble that negated a first down from Dante Moore. Like, the offensive line, I'm not going to sit here and claim played great. A lot of criticism is going to the offensive line and the offensive coordinator, and I get that. I'm not saying either of them without blame. 90% of that for me is on Dante Moore.
Oh,
90%
Dante Moore,
of it.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
He was awful on Saturday. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. And if you go back and watch, so they had 6 sacks on the game as a team.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them were him just not throwing the
Not
ball
getting
away.
rid of the ball, yeah.
He just scrambled. He would just take losses. Like, you could throw it out of bounds. Just take 5-6 yard losses and take a sack or run out of bounds. So that counts as a sack. He had times where he had more time to throw the football than he was aware of because they confused him with the simulated pressures, and he was getting rid of the ball too quickly. And then he had other times where they just were confusing him so much that he didn't know what to look at, and that leads to second-guessing in the pocket. You're pumping it, you're holding it, and then you get bad plays and negative plays that happen. And so by no stretch of the offensive line play great, by no stretch did I love all of the play calling from Will Stein. The biggest thing that I circle out of that game is the way that they were able to confuse Dante Moore and essentially to steal a Sam Darnold line from years ago. He was seeing ghosts. He was feeling pressure at times when there wasn't any pressure and getting rid of the ball too quickly because he felt like he was constantly under siege and he did not have a clear picture of what was happening on defense.
I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm clairvoyant in any way, but like I thought the game itself just kind of started with okay, here we go. This could be a fun one.
Dude,
was the first play of the game. He got sacked for like 6 yards and you went, oh my God, it was easy for them. I think more than fair. The offensive line has their questions. That looked like UCLA Dante.
He just looked like he was rattled and he didn't know what was happening.
He didn't know what he was doing. He was holding the ball too long. He was kind of everything, right? Like, videos are going around social media of him missing Sadiq or Decorian and him kind of rushing and throwing a little whip pass that was incomplete. Like, I think all of it is fair. I want to say that I saw the stat, and I'll see if I can back this up, that like quarterback grade-wise, it was the worst quarterback grade performance by PFF since Anthony Brown in 2021.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was that bad.
So now it kind of leaves some questions, right, of like, one, Indiana deserves all the flowers in the world. They came into Eugene and they handled their business. They took it to Oregon. But I think it raises the questions of, are you going to face other coaches now that maybe there's a blueprint of what Oregon's offensive line and Dante Moore, how you can attack some of that weakness? They scored 13 points.
Yeah.
Because 7 of those are the defense. So
yeah, and one of the field goals, the only points they scored in the second half, the field goal was essentially outside of the pick six, obviously.
Right.
Was they pinned them deep, got the 3 and out, they punted it, and they got the ball at like the 40-yard line. They only picked up like 10 yards on the drive and then made a field goal. That was one of their scores.
Well, and I'll be fair to you too, because on Friday, I know you certainly didn't see what happening, but like you did say, you kind of leaned the under. You thought it could be kind of maybe one of those
I
games.
had absolute belief in Indiana's front seven.
But
dude.
13
that front seven,
points?
That was shocking. That was jaw-dropping.
Jarring.
I was not surprised that Oregon's offense struggled at times. I was surprised that they struggled the entire game. And I think it's a good reminder for them and hopefully a teaching point because we can get to where they're going to go from here. But when you dig through how the game goes that way, it's a 20-20 game in the fourth quarter, right? So that's it. It's up in the air. Anybody can win it at that point. And leading to that point, Oregon had done so many stupid things. Like opening drive, for example, they take that sack that you talk about. You get out of that. You get a first down on a screen. You're like, okay, now we're kind of going here. Second down, they throw a pass to Noah Whittington. He catches it, and if he just turns around and falls forward,
I know he went side.
He picks up a first down. He goes side to side. What happens? It's 3rd and short stuff, 4th and short stuff. Hand Indiana 3 points because they got a short field. You had on their only touchdown drive of the game, and this gets into the coaching problem of it, the only touchdown that they scored offensively, what did they do? They went tempo. And it caught Indiana off guard. And you hit a deep shot to Malik Benson. You're like, hey, there you go. There's the offense. How many times did they go tempo the rest of the game?
I don't remember them doing tempo after that.
0.
Yeah.
So, okay, it worked.
That?
Why did it not? No other times did you think to like, hey, we caught them off guard. They weren't able to adjust on the fly. You can't quite set up your simulated pressures the way that you wanted to when you're going with a blur offense. Why was that not a part of the game plan? So that falls on them. You had one of the drives where they kicked a field goal in the first half that Johnson, the tight end, just dropped it. It just dropped a wide open pass in the flat. Would have been inside the 10-yard line. Instead, it led to a 3rd and long, incomplete pass. Then you got to go kick a field goal. Like, they had so many moments. How about Dan Lanning in multiple times after being aggressive and going for it in his own? He went for a 4th down on his own 35-yard line.
He did.
And then he had multiple, well, not multiple, but he had one where he ran the ball on 3rd and 8 that led to a missed field goal. So you just essentially accepted the 3 points there. And then in the second half, in a game that is 13-10, they had a 4th and 2 at the 20-something yard line, and he kicked a field goal. So it's like, that's not your identity. You have been aggressive. You went for like 7 of these things at Penn State 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he wouldn't kick a field goal
And
at
now
Penn
it's
State. He wanted to go for it every time.
4th and 2, and
know.
I think at that point they trusted their defense because Oregon's defense had dominated to start the second half and got back-to-back 3-and-outs, but it blew up in his face because you kicked the field goal to tie the game, and then Indiana goes 9 plays, 75 yards. And so it was a good reminder for them of, like, there's little things throughout the course of not picking up that first down, not making that catch, not capitalizing on something. Like, the main criticism I'll have of play calling that I think falls on the lap of Stein outside of not going hurry up, one of the things that I thought that they were going to do effectively was essentially say, you can do all this fancy window dressing of who's coming, who's not coming, who's blitzing, who's not blitzing. We're just going to turn around and run it down your throat. And I went back, and when I watched the game on Saturday night, I'm like, I felt like they had a lot of success just running it up the middle. And by my count, now this is at midnight on Saturday night, so It's a little gray. I counted 18 runs up the middle, like essentially in between the guards, somewhere in that territory with varying backs. And it was like 15 of the 18 runs, they picked up more than 5 yards.
Yeah, it's where the size difference,
And
right?
it just,
that's what we talked about going into the thing.
why was that not? And it felt like they fell into the trap of trying to get Dante involved in the game and try to get his confidence up instead of just saying, dude, this is working. I saw an interview randomly with Jim Harbaugh last week where he was asked, what's the most number of times in a row you've called the same play? Like, how often did you do that? And he gave a story one time he did at Stanford, and they were playing USC, and he ran the same play 13 consecutive times. Because it just, like...
Because why would you stop?
It worked. It picked up 8 yards, and it picked up 6 yards, and it picked up 7
Oregon
yards.
State against Oregon a few years back. Remember
just
that?
Keep running it
Run
until they show you. Like, Davidson up the middle was good for, like, go back and look.
He averaged 7.4 yards a carry.
Look at all of their backs. Davidson averaged 7.4.
Yep.
Whittington averaged 5.4. And Jay Lamar averaged 5.7.
Yeah.
So they had, but then when they would try and run off tackle, when they tried, D'Air Hill coming in was an obvious thing. Like, here it comes, an off-edge rush, like, or off tackle run.
Speed out,
and they couldn't outflank him, and they had more hats on the outside. So there's a lot of little things that you can nitpick and criticize. That being said, it was 20-20 in the fourth quarter, and I would say Oregon played their D game, and they still were in it with a chance to win.
I would love to go back, and we can think about this. Maybe the text police can help us. The last time we recall Oregon scoring one offensive touchdown in a game at home. Buddy, we might have to go through the archives and dust that off because I can't.
Yeah.
Maybe there's one that's just right there.
They had the Utah win when Bo was hurt 2-3 years ago. In Lanning's first year, remember, he played. Yeah. They won that game like 17-14.
That was a night game, right?
It was a night game, low scoring and ugly. And I can't remember if they had a special teams or defensive touchdown.
Okay, maybe a caveat of one touchdown and a home loss.
Yeah,
I just was like watching this and I'm like, I can't believe it's 2020. First of all,
yes,
but you still felt like this is Indiana's game.
Oh, they controlled the game, the entirety of it.
And to see that, I never would have saw that of this happening. Indiana winning, okay, yeah, that fashion and that way, the offense looking the way it did. How do you feel, Duck fan? 503-864-6326 is the fan text line. You can chime in on the YouTube chat. Let's hear from the coaches of this thing. We'll carry over. Ducks fall to Indiana at home. Dirt and Sprague 105.1 The Fan. All right, we got to get to some coaches' audio. I want to read thoughts from listeners. Duck fans out there, how you feeling today?
Sure, it's very rational and measured.
Well, I caught the award-winning, world-renowned post-game show a little bit in my car.
How was Schulte doing? Probably distracted by the Mariners being in the ALCS. He probably didn't even care. Didn't even bat an eye at a Duck loss.
I would say, actually, Schulte came off to me on the air as pretty reasonably measured of
okay.
You should be disappointed your team loses at home as a favorite when you have your roster compared to their roster, but he wasn't freaking out.
Yeah, it's also a good omen for Indiana. The last two times, or two teams that Oregon has lost to, have gone on to play for the national title.
That is a good omen.
Washington 2 years ago beat them twice, went on to play for the title, and the only team they lost to last year was Ohio State.
And he was calling out listeners because listeners were basically like, maybe Dan shouldn't be as loud as he is. This makes him look so stupid. We're just young guys. We're not ready to win. And he was like, literally, you guys have all said that's not true anymore. And Lanning's awesome when we win. So
there's nothing like college football of needing a full autopsy after a loss. It's the only sport that leads us to question everything after their first regular season loss since Washington in 2023.
We have one of our extraordinarily great new hires, Casey, on the scene. Right now, he's looking up the last time Oregon scored one offensive touchdown and lost at home. Now, Google AI gave us the return, and we don't trust Google AI here on this show.
No, we do not. They've led us astray too many times.
Google AI told him it was Indiana in 2004. Which, if that ends up being true,
I mean, I feel pretty good about my Oregon history, and there's not one that stands out. I couldn't remember clunkers on the road, like when Dixon went down, they went to UCLA and couldn't get a first down. Like they had some bad ones on the road.
At home,
but
one
at home,
offensive touchdown.
There's not a lot that stands. The Utah game, I think they only had one offensive touchdown, but they won that game in Lanning's first year.
He does say Google AI may have led us astray again. He said it might be Arizona in 2006.
Yeah, I thought 2006 would be a year you could think of when they struggled a little bit. Because wasn't that the quarterback rotational
2006 was
year?
an ugly year. 2006 was a bad year. That was right before Chip showed up, and Dixon was playing minor league baseball, and everybody hated him.
Was it Leaf, and it was...
that was Leaf and Dixon, I believe. And then
wasn't there one... Who was the kid? Or maybe it was 05. I'm thinking of the other guy.
05. Clemens was there before. There might have been... Fife was around at that time.
Fife. I was thinking of the name
He was a little
Fife.
bit earlier than that. 06, I think Leaf and Dixon split time, and then it was ugly at the end of the year. That was the year they beat Oklahoma, and then their season just
crumbled,
imploded after that.
Here is Signetti on his team's performance.
I thought our defense really took it to him in the second half. Won the line of scrimmage, run game and pass game, put pressure on the quarterback. The offense made the plays when they needed to. They had us off balance. They have a good defense. And the false starts obviously were an issue. But we just took it to them in the second half. And our guys played one play at a time like we asked them to. Our guys wanted it, showed on the field they wanted it, and did the things they had to do to be successful.
This dude is clinically insane, by the way. Did you see him screaming at his own player who got hurt?
Yeah.
About you need to be tougher. And you know what? I mean, maybe he's right. The kid was on the field one play later.
He was laying down, and then he was right back out there clapping like I'm okay. I also thought, they from a schematic standpoint, they outcoached all of Oregon's staff. There's no doubt about that.
Yes, they did.
I also thought he did something that I'd love to see Lanning do more of, and that was work the officials in the first half. He was livid about
ran
it.
on the field.
I don't know
and
how
I thought
he
was
didn't get a
actually
penalty.
right on that.
It very easily could have been called DPI, and those calls went both ways in the second half. But who ended up getting whistles when they needed them, and who didn't get called for a push off in the end zone from a wide receiver on a late touchdown? Which that's one that could go either way as well. I'm not blaming officiating. I love the way coaches though can work it. That's one of the duties that you have on this. Nobody in the NBA was ever better than this in Popovich. And you'd go work the officials and work, and then you turn around in the second half and be like, why is San Antonio getting every whistle? It's because he knows what he's doing, and he set that up for the entire half. He was so livid at them on the field in that moment that I think it woke them up, and he ended up getting the benefit of the whistle in the second half.
Yeah, it was interesting. They kept on the broadcast. I'm sure you noted this. Danielson kept noting that Oregon was going to be called for the shift.
Yeah, shifting at the line of scrimmage.
I feel like he kept saying it.
He's not good at his
And
job.
then it was a false start on Indiana every time, and then they'd show to Signetti, and Signetti didn't even seem to care. He just had his hands on his hips and stood and was like, okay, next play.
I don't know how you even decide when to call that, because I think there has to be some sort of
I don't get that
signal
rule at
in
all.
place, like if a defensive lineman claps,
Well,
and they're
sure.
then
or you do the hike. I get that, but
if you're just moving around pre-snap, I don't know how you whistle that.
He also talked about his team earning credibility. That's what that win does. Ralph Russo of The Athletic noted that when he went to the field interview with CBS, Indiana fans were coming down onto the field because Oregon allows that.
Yeah.
And a woman from Indiana was wearing overalls.
They had a lot of overalls in Eugene on Saturday.
And she kept shouting, football school, football school. Like, he has switched them from Hoosiers hoops to Hoosiers football 100% with this thing.
They've been irrelevant in hoops for 30 years, man. Like this, I don't blame them at all. All my interactions with Indiana fans were great, dude. They were there for a good time.
Yeah.
To the victor go the spoils.
They
They were celebrating. They had a lot of fun.
Here was Signetti on his program's win and what it means.
Last year, I was the way I was because I thought I needed to be taking over this program, kind of lead the charge the way I was out there a little bit. I knew that early on in December, okay? I thought we established credibility last season, and I didn't need to be that way, and I could focus in on what I do best, coach this football team this year. And you got to understand, some people are always going to be for you. Some people are always going to be against you because they need to be. And then there's a group in the middle, right? So we played Illinois, who was 9th in the country, right? And we played Oregon. We won at Iowa, which is a really hard place to play, which a lot of people would have called a trap game. So now the key is how we respond to Michigan State.
Look at him acknowledging trap game.
Traps exist, dude.
Ken
It's a real
Barkley,
thing.
huh? Where you at, buddy?
Well,
Signetti saying the trap games exist.
Yeah, now they're real. Damn it, Ken. We told you all this time. He had something in the other line or in the other clip too that I sometimes it feels like too much of a generalization. But I got the vibe just even from the opening snap of the game. Like they just seemed, and this is such a cliche, but I'm going to say it, they wanted it. They just seemed like they wanted it more. Like they were the more fired up team, and this was they were so tired of hearing about people make fun of the Ohio State and Notre Dame game last year and people questioning them. Their coaches were on social media last week. Every time one of these tweets popped up of like weight differential, their defensive coordinator quote tweeted it and was like, "Oh God, how will we ever compete?" Like there was that chip on the shoulder.
Coordinators shine bright in this one.
Those guys are going to be head coaches very soon.
Yes, great
they're not going to be around Bloomington, Indiana
he
very much longer.
Too. He's like, we got a great staff here. I'm like, yes, you do.
They were incredible, and so They just seem to want it more. Is it more complicated than that? Of course it is. Is that a generality? Of course it is. But I just got that vibe the entire game of they were out to prove something, and Oregon felt like they came in status quo. We beat Penn State. We're going to go and show up and win, and that was not the case.
I want to get to the landing audio. I still want to read your thoughts. Fan text line 503-864-6326. As cliche as it might be, I actually agree with you. That was the vibe. Even the pick six. Great play by Finney.
There was a moment like, oh my God, are they going to pull this out after playing as bad as they have when they got that? And then Indiana immediately responded with a touchdown.
The reports out of Indiana are when he threw the pick six, he got back to the sidelines, like 8 teammates ran up to him and said, "We still believe in you, dude. You're still our guy." And there was something weird about their energy where first couple of plays of that next drive, you wouldn't have guessed they just threw a pick six. It was like right back into their business as usual.
That can usually phase the team when you like all that momentum's now against you and the road crowd's back into the game, and they were not wavering.
Exceptionally coached. Love to hear from you, Duck fans out there. We'll get to that landing audio coming up next as well. But first, Rusty with Sports Update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on The Fan, the Mariners going to Toronto and steal home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays last night. Cal Raleigh got the Mariners on the board with a solo shot in the 6th. Jorge Polanco did the rest with RBI singles in the 6th and 8th innings. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center. 2:08 first pitch on Fox and FS1. Logan Gilbert and Trey Savage is your pitching matchup. We'll have coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. Following their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 to 8 in the latest AP poll. Ohio State, Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana Rockets up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to number 4, and Ole Miss falls spot to 5 after just barely holding off Washington State. After starting the season 0-7, Oregon State announced the firing of head coach Trent Bray. He's now in his 2nd season, but he amassed, well, not now anymore. He amassed a record of 5-14. Penn State announced the firing of head coach James Franklin following their 3rd consecutive loss after starting out number 2 in the preseason rankings. Franklin is still owed $49 million, and another double dip for Monday Night Football. 4:15 on ESPN, the Bills are 4.5-point favorites at the Falcons. Then at 5:15 on ABC, the Bears 5.5-point underdogs at the Commanders. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for Seahawks football. The Fan Sports Network. 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Hey, it's Suk, and yes,
We will get into the Oregon State news with Bill Oram coming up at the top of the hour. We'll read your thoughts as they continue to come in at 503-864-6326.
Fire everybody.
That's
Burn it to
usually,
the ground.
It's usually a solution in college
Start
football
over,
now.
dude. I want Trent Bray. Let's go hire him. He's available. Actually, James Franklin's available. We can go get him. You want that guy?
You want to replace the guy that just beat Franklin with the guy that can't
Fireball!
beat Thank you to Casey looking this up. Now, there's a little bit of a stipulation here, but I'm just going to read the stat because I don't want Casey to waste his entire day
No.
having to look this up. So Casey's crack research found the last time the Ducks at home lost and scored one offensive touchdown, October 7th, 2017, Cougs came in, waxed Braxton Burmeister and company,
Yes.
33-10.
That was the one Willie Taggart season that happened. Swag surf, moment in time that we'll never forget. And Herbert had broken his collarbone against Cal, and they went on a stretch there where they were the worst football team to watch in the entire country because Braxton Burmeister could not complete a pass. Yeah, that's burned into my brain. So that's a good reminder of but that's also the caveat of that was a backup quarterback. So in terms of this, you didn't have a backup quarterback playing this weekend. You had your starting quarterback in, who was near the top of the Heisman odds going into the weekend.
Well, to be fair, Dirt, he was the backup last year.
Aha, yes he was. He was behind Dylan Gabriel.
Ducks next two, I think, are certainly going to line up for them to right some of the wrongs they had this weekend. They're also not going to take a team as talented as Indiana on in the next 2 weeks with at Rutgers, which is a late kick East Coast, so that allows their clocks to set a little bit. And then they're home hosting the worst team in the Big Ten now, Wisconsin, then it's a bye. So I think the next 2 weeks they'll be able to right some of this, but it's when you lose these huge top-ranked matchups, it's just what the sport has conditioned us with, right? Beating Rutgers and Wisconsin, people are going to feel a little better, but they're not going to be like, well, I forgot about the Indiana game. These are the games that stick in your mind. Here was landing in the postgame on their lack of offensive production.
Yeah, it felt like they had the pin last. They had extra hats at the point of attack. And then in situations where we're having to throw for it, they did a great job defending the sticks. They were aggressive. Again, I think they're really well coached. They won the 50-50 balls. Some of those are really close as far as connection and how tight they are in coverage, but they did a good job being tight in coverage. We were trying to take the top off a couple times. They did a good job of being on top when we had those moments.
I also thought this was good. He just, he credited Indiana, first of all, at the top. I'm not going to play the clip, but he started his everything with credit to them. They played better than us.
They
We got
outcoached
outcoached.
us, yeah.
He fell and fully accepted responsibility for it. He then talked about their plan falling kind of short against Indiana.
Yeah, ultimately, I don't think our plan was great. At times we played well defensively. We had some short fields, but ultimately we didn't stop the run when it mattered most. We got to have a better plan to stop the run there at the end of the game. Didn't do a good job contesting balls, defensively. Third down, we weren't good on offense, and we got to be able to avoid, third down. We had some positive runs on certain schemes, and then there were some really negative runs. You can't take negatives against a team like this. Tempo, we didn't handle well. I thought they handled our tempo extremely well on offense, excluding the early touchdown pass there to Malik. But they had some good tempo answers for us that we didn't have great answers, for what they were doing. Their pitches were better than our pitches, and ultimately that's something we can improve.
So he kind of, in a way, it seems like he kind of disagrees with maybe your thoughts of the run game, because he mentioned the run game kind of being taken out a little bit there and credits Indiana. And he also talked about tempo, which is
I didn't remember a lot of other times that they went to tempo. And watching back the game, it felt like it was that one drive and that one drive only.
Yeah, because I'm not going to – the last drive was the garbage to garbage time. It was over. Indiana had conceded, we're going to win this game. You can have the ball. Here you go.
Well, and to be fair, too, they had some 3 and outs where you can't really use tempo when you go 3 and out.
Well, and I think that's the other thing is, I guess I would be more curious, and we'll see what he says today, how you define what tempo is, because the one tempo play he had the deep pass to Benson.
It was the only offensive touchdown of the game. They went tempo on that drive.
And I want to make sure I have this right, because I noted this. After that touchdown, I think he had 3 or 4 passes the rest of the game that went past 10 yards.
It was a screen machine, dude.
Yes.
Check down a screen machine.
Little 4-yard, 3-yard dumps, and Indiana wanted him to do that, and it was instant stopping and offense being taken out. I just, look, this doesn't change how I feel about him. As we've noted a million times, he's such a young coach, and everything's been great.
It's the first time he's lost a regular season game in almost 2 years.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, this is his first Big Ten loss in the regular season.
This is the first conference loss.
I think these are the moments of teachable moments internally for that staff, and then God, you just look at the other side and you go, dude, that guy was unbelievable, and what he has built in such a short time at a program like Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a good story. It took him 20 years.
Oh, it's an incredible
to even
story.
Get a head coaching gig, let alone a job of this caliber.
And it's Indiana. It's not even that good of a caliber job. It's not like he took over some sleeping giant that had been dormant for 10 years and now they're back, like a Tennessee or a Nebraska. He's at a place that's literally number 1.
This is just such a tough sport because you're allotted multiple losses now, and it's still given grace to be in an expanded playoff era. But these are the moments that people will take away and talk and finger point about coaching.
For
and
sure.
The coaching Saturday was easily on the sideline of Indiana.
It's not even a debate. It wasn't even close. In every phase of the game, Indiana was better. In every aspect of coaching, Indiana was better in that football game. I do chuckle at some of the reaction when I think of people saying that regular season games don't matter anymore. And it does, we used to live and die with this every weekend, and these losses meant everything. And now it doesn't mean as much as it used to. It's like, dude, go dive into Duck Twitter right now and tell me that these games don't matter. After 2 weeks ago, you're barking on your floor and in double overtime win over Penn State, living and dying with every play. And then this weekend, you feel like the sky's falling and your team's never going to win a game again. Like, yeah, the regular season games still matter, and we still react to them.
You don't want to be a bad seed. That's the other part. Is you don't want your seeding in the bracket.
After last year, they were the 1 seed and lost the first game. So maybe if you get in and you're a back half seed, you're feeling better. I don't know,
though,
dude. No doubt about it. Look, the last time Oregon played for a national championship, what did they do in October? They lost the game at home in October to Arizona. They wore pink helmets, and Arizona came to town on a weeknight and beat them.
Was that the 3-touchdown guarantee by you on the air?
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. And it didn't go well. And then they got Arizona again in the Pac-12 title game, and they beat them by 70 points. So, these things happen, man. I do think it's important to take a deep breath. There's no doubt there are things that now we can watch and key on of will this improve? Are there blueprints out there for teams that they feel like they can expose you? I don't know what the answer to that is, because I don't think you're going to play a team that defensively, I guess maybe Iowa should deserve that credit, but Iowa doesn't have an offense with a pulse. So they might be able to bog you down.
When I look at the Duck schedule, I go
no
USC
doubt about it,
because they were good Saturday. They're at home, I know, and that's different. But
I just don't think USC has the horses on defense to do what Indiana did to you. I just don't. I don't think that they do. I think USC's defense is still a major question mark, despite looking good against Underwood this weekend, and I certainly didn't see them winning the game the way that they did. Washington's defense does not scare me. So, coming out of this game, I didn't have that many issues with the defense. They could have been cleaner in some areas. The weakness for them is the linebacker spot. It continues to be the weakness for them. I didn't think they played a great game in any way.
Mixon's missed tackle.
Mixon missing tackles. You had Devin Jackson commit the deep pass interference at the end of the half that handed him the 3-point. Well, the guy made a 60-yarder, so he didn't hand him anything, but he earned it. But that was still a bad DPI, and Betcher has a lot of tackles, but there's times that he seems lost in run fits and isn't great at times in coverage. So linebacker continues to be a weakness. But you get, if I told you on Friday, Indiana's offense has maybe the number 1 pick at quarterback and 2 legit NFL wide receivers, that you were going to hold them to 326 total yards of offense, you're feeling pretty good. They were averaging 550 yards or whatever it was.
Okay, so here's my counter to a couple things. One, on that part, I thought about that too, and I'm like, well, how much of that number is bigger if you're having quicker drives? It felt like their MO was, we not only want to help our defense, we are going to consume the football, right? The time of possession seemed to be a pretty big factor for them. We talk about their 2 drives in the second half minus the pick 6.
It was boom or bust for them in the second half. They had 3-and-out, touchdown, pick 6, touchdown.
Now,
it was just,
I have to go bring up what those drives were, but when they
were
scored
all
those touchdowns,
75 yards, I know that.
75-yard, clock eating, it was. I think that's the thing is, I don't know how much I can look at those numbers per se and say.
They went 9 plays, 75 yards in 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and they went 12 plays, 75 yards in 6 minutes and 19 seconds.
That's 10 minutes of clock time. That's pretty good. So I think more for them, it wasn't so much the total yardage. It was limit that Oregon offense as much as we can from being on the field, help our defense be rested.
Oh, sure.
And eat all of that clock up. I think that's the only thing I would counter on that point.
Some of the numbers can be misleading, there's no doubt. But also the defense came out in the start of the second half when you're trailing 13-10, and they got back-to-back 3-and-outs.
The defense gave them their
3 of the first 4 drives in the second half for Oregon's defense were 3-and-out, and pick 6.
There might not be a perfect defense. The takeaway for me is the Oregon offense.
That's the concern.
And so here is what I would say, and we're way over it, and we're going to have to get to some thoughts here. I want to read listener thoughts. This is what I would say, too. I agree that you're not going to maybe find a defense as talented, and I don't know how much we were talking about that talent per se in the general but I do wonder now how much of the blueprint, and it's easy to have a blueprint and not be able to follow said blueprint.
Yeah, if you don't have
you
the
given
dudes.
The Washingtons, the USCs, maybe the Iowas, which is going to be a road game.
For sure.
That's what I would kind of wonder is what they did.
It's on Oregon now to find answers to whatever they were
to that.
And it's on Dante Moore to trust himself. There were moments that I felt like he kind of lost his confidence early in the game.
He looked a little defeated.
He looked rattled, and there's times as a quarterback where you just got to stand in there and take the heat and deliver the football.
How much of his injury do you think played a factor too in the second half? Because he got
hobbled.
banged up pretty bad.
He said after the game he's fine, but he's not going to tell you that he's hurt if he is hurt, and Lanning's not going to tell you that either. So they were all saying that he was fine, but he took a shot low and was kind of limping a little bit in the second half of that game. They didn't utilize any of the quarterback run game, which they used a ton against Penn State. None of the +1 run game with Dante Moore just carrying the football and design
Mendoza's
runs.
runs came
Mendoza's
in clutch,
runs
too. We
just
talked about that last
killed
week.
them in the back end
Yeah.
where he was pulling it on his own read, and everybody was collapsing down. And so there's a lot of little things that you can clean up. There is a blueprint out there to be able to stop them, but is Oregon able to find the adjustments that they need for that blueprint? And does anybody, even if they have the blueprint, have the horses defensively to run it the same way Indiana did?
A lot of blueprint chatter. What is this,
Blueprint.
Oregon State?
You got a blueprint? We got a blueprint.
Get it? Because they give a lot of money to an NIL company? We'll get to them at 8 a.m. with Orem. Read some thoughts, and then we'll pivot. We'll get back into the Ducks later on in the program, but read some thoughts on it coming up next at Sprague 105.1 The Fan.
It's
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday all season long, starting at just $30 for the first year. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started. We'll get to some NFL dealings today at some point. Want to read some thoughts here. I just got kicked out, actually. So.
Oh, you got to log back in now? Yeah. You need your authentication? Is that working again?
Yeah.
You want me to read some
if you could start, I would
text.
Appreciate that. I just literally got locked out.
Somebody said, Dirt, I love you, buddy, but no need to cope so hard. This is the new college football. If Oregon ends the season 10-2, they're likely still a playoff team. Do I sound like I feel like I'm handling this pretty well? Some of it's tongue-in-cheek, so maybe you're taking it the wrong way. Like, I'm certainly not panicked in any way, shape, or form. I laugh at the visceral reaction that comes from fan bases after games like that, where 2 weeks ago the coach is a genius and everything's great, and then you let one slip against a top 5 team. They're all right, man. They're going to be fine.
I think the tough part here is a couple things. One, tongue-in-cheek. Like when you say things tongue-in-cheek, it may not always sound like somebody off, on distance hearing you say it. It's like, oh, man, he sounds like
he really wants Lanning to get fired after that game?
No, not in any way. I think there's a conversation to be had today or tomorrow on our show. We have been talking about this a lot off the air of like, and I thought Pate brought it up too, so I'll use him as an example as well of just like you kind of need to condition yourself to stop thinking undefeated and one-loss seasons are always going to happen.
It's not like they went undefeated last year, and they probably shouldn't have. There was 4 games in there. They easily could have lost. That's how close games go sometimes. Sometimes the ball bounces against you.
And I do truly believe that Oregon very well could lose another game. They also might only lose that one.
Yes.
Everything is up in the air, and so the idea that like, we have $20 million roster and we got this guy and that guy means we're going to go, no,
Ohio State lost to Michigan at home last year and won the national championship. Like, this is the new reality. I think their chances of winning a Big Ten title, again, took a massive hit. So that one I will acknowledge. But the idea that they're done or their season's over is ridiculous. And I'm not certainly trying to argue that. Do you want me to read some more? Or did you
go
ahead.
It up? Go ahead. Okay, I just got in, so go ahead.
So, Dirt, was the Autzen crowd as lackluster in person as it seemed on TV? It didn't feel as intense as I've seen in past big games. I know the flow of the game had something to do with it, but I thought it was missing some juice. I didn't sense that. I think it also... There wasn't a lot in the first half to cheer for, I guess.
Well, it was a low-scoring affair.
It's 13-10.
Cold. It's wet. It's
yes.
And I think this is real. The
juice was great at the start of the game from the get-go. They scored that touchdown on the long pass, and you're like, all right. But when you, and I don't know if you're this way as a fan, sometimes you just get bad feelings in your stomach early on, like the bad butterflies, if you will. I had that on the opening drive of the game. You take a sack on the first play. Davidson on the year was like 20 of 20 in short yardage runs. Any 3rd and short, 4th and short, goal to go in short, and he stuffed on the opening drive. You're like, you just get that kind of bad omen feeling, and I think that crept up in everybody where there's that like nervous energy of like, oh, that wasn't the way we wanted to start the game.
Well, is it a bad omen or is it oh my God, this is going to be a dogfight and hopefully we can come? Like, I think that's kind of what some of it was. And the juice being good at the opening and then like the tone being changed with a sack, I think all of that's fair. If there was some, I wasn't there, lackluster noise to the magnitude of an Ohio, I think it was what we talked about.
It's Indiana.
Yes. And I think that's done forever.
We got to stop viewing them as Indiana. They're a new power in college football.
As long as that dude is there, I'm just going to assume they're going to be ready to go, and they were absolutely ready to go. We didn't get to enough thoughts. We will get to your thoughts. I promise. You can text them in 503-864-6326. We'll put a pin. We'll pause. Okay?
Pause. Hold it.
Time out.
Hold it.
And we'll get back into this.
Crowd's going wild.
Crowd's going crazy at Indiana right now. Bloomington is hopping. Don Fisher's ecstatic. Got to call another dub at Autzen Stadium, that bastard.
He did. He's undefeated at Autzen.
Don Fisher, never be back here
Dude,
at Autzen
you're not
Stadium.
allowed back. You are not welcome back in our state, Don Fisher.
We'll get back into the Oregon stuff. Continue to throw in your thoughts. Let's go to the other side, because this one's uglier. A team quit, and then their coach got fired. Bill Oram. We kick it off, the third hour, daily ticker, Bill Oram, OregonLive.com. Trent Bray's been fired. Get back into Oregon stuff, get some NFL dealings, but we start third hour with Oregon State firing Trent Bray, 0-7. It's a mess. Hour 3, Dirt and Sprague 105.1 The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan. Seattle Mariners go into Toronto and steal home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh getting the Mariners on the board with a solo shot in the sixth. Jorge Polanco did the rest with RBI singles in the sixth and eighth innings. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center. 2:08 first pitch on Fox and FS1. Logan Gilbert and Trey Savage is your pitching matchup. We'll have coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. After their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 to 8 in the latest AP poll. Ohio State and Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana rockets up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to number 4, and Ole Miss falls a spot to 5 after barely holding off Washington State. Down in Corvallis, after starting the season 0-7, Oregon State announced the firing of head coach Trent Bray. He amassed an overall record of 5-14. Penn State announcing the firing of head coach James Franklin following their 3rd consecutive loss after starting out number 2 in the preseason rankings. Franklin still owed $49 million, the second highest buyout in college football history. And another double dip for Monday Night Football, 4:15 on ESPN. The Bills 4.5-point favorites at the Falcons. Then at 5:15 on ABC, the Bears are 5.5-point dogs at the Commanders. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to
Brewing Hard Hops presents today's Daily Ticker. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop-infused hard seltzer and experience your hops differently. I was pounding some Pelican root beers this weekend, just housing them left and right. So delightful.
How responsible to be drinking post a game.
You know, yeah, I'm trying to, we're watching our figure, trying to cut down on the booze a little bit. And
So
the
you
root
drank a
beers,
bunch of sugar?
Hey, root beer kind of, fills that void for me.
The root beer is delicious.
You know who else was born at the beach?
Yeah.
Bill Oram.
The old Coastie.
The old Coastie
The second
himself.
biggest Coastie on this show.
The columnist at the Oregon.
Did you see him on CBS this weekend?
No, I did not.
Dude.
Was he in the background? He didn't pick his nose, did he? Was he okay?
He did the proverbial, I didn't mean to do this, but he clearly meant to do it, standing behind Signetti as Signetti was on CBS National. I sent him a photo.
Move. Smart move. You got to do it. You got to get that screen time whenever you can. At Bill Orm on Twitter. Go give him a follow. He's the columnist for the Oregonian. Bill, we do have some Oregon, Indiana questions, but we just talked about that for the last hour, so let's change pace a little bit to start the interview. You have called for it for a number of weeks now, and Oregon State has finally done the thing that, despite all the mounting pressure, I didn't know if I ever actually thought they were going to do it. 2 weeks ago, they said the journey to winning begins in earnest now, and then they fired their head coach. Just your thoughts on another loss for Oregon State, an 0-7 start, and now the search being for a new head coach.
Yeah, I mean, good morning. What an intro. It was just necessary and overdue, if you ask me. I mean, what I wrote in the column that ran yesterday is by waiting until week 8 to fire Trent Bray, when it was so painfully obvious that he was not a head coach, he was not equipped to be a head coach, and that he did not have control of his team. A month ago, Oregon State just ends up looking panicked and reactionary, as opposed to intentional and purposeful and proactive. And that's the way that, Scott Barnes and JT Murphy and the university needs to operate going forward as they kind of try to pull their way out of this morass. I do think that, it has been a long road to get here. And I thought it was ill-timed and a little tone deaf when they went to 0-6 to just fire the special teams coach. Like, we kind of passed the point of, where firing Jamie Christian, the special teams coordinator,
Right.
was going to calm the waters. Like after week 3, you might have been thinking, hey, the problem is the special teams But by week 6, it was pretty clear that the problems were more expansive than that. So, and ultimately that falls on Trent Bray. And listen, like, yes, I did write that he needed to be fired a month ago, but I take no joy in the fact that he actually has been fired. Like, Trent's a decent dude.
Mm-hmm.
Players love him. I mean, like, you've seen like players come out of the, out on social media and publicly say, that Trent wasn't the problem. Trent, the best coach they've ever had. Like, I mean, that is all true, and that all rings true from what I've seen from Trent over, the last many years. Players love playing for him. He connects with this generation of players. I think he would have continued to recruit pretty well at Oregon State, but the reality is, like, I've never seen a more disorganized football team in my life. I've never seen a team that keeps making the same mistakes over and over in my entire life.
Right.
I mean, being 136th in special teams, which is one of the basic competencies of football, just boggles my mind. And so, this was the right choice. It was overdue. It was necessary. It does give Oregon State to do a hard reset and kind of zero-base the football program, which is what I think needs to happen, because there was this delusion when Jonathan Smith left that they were going to be able to maintain some of the momentum that he had created, and that was just never going to happen. And I think we all sort of wanted to believe that because Oregon State had built a really nice program that was in a great spot before the Pac-12 died. But there needed to probably be an understanding that with Jonathan leaving at the exact moment that the Pac-12 died, it was going to have to be a totally new thing. And now it gets to be. And I think that's the key here is you zero base everything. You wipe the slate clean. You say, how do we build this from the ground up? Who is the right person to build this from the ground up? And that's the challenge that Scott Barnes is going to face, trying to get that hire, nail that hire, because he absolutely has to nail this hire.
By the way, they had a blocked field goal that should have been returned for a touchdown, but a stupid holding call took it away. So that change made no difference at all for their special teams blunders.
It did. And now that guy's the interim head coach, by the way.
Well, I think, I'll just speak honestly. I text you this, and I understand you don't want to respond. You're a noted scribe, and you don't want to have things on the rec. I totally get it, but I told you how I feel. I don't think you need to search very hard to find out how a lot of Oregon State fans are feeling, and I certainly cannot speak to the biggest donors of Oregon State at all. Why should Scott Barnes be allotted the opportunity to make this hire? I just don't know what about him right now screams confidence in any process. As Pitt fans noted, the last time he used a search firm in committee, he hired Kevin Stallings, and that destroyed Pittsburgh's basketball program. So even using that as like a cop, I don't see any redeeming quality of keeping him in as long as the fan base feels how they feel.
I think that is a completely fair position. I don't have a great argument against it, other than I would say that Scott Barnes has a very secure contract with a hefty buyout, and he has had the repeated support of the president of the university. And so I think that there's two questions, there's separate questions here. Mm-hmm. Like, could Oregon State benefit from a new voice, a change in leadership, a different perspective in that chair? They very well could. Like, absolutely, you could make the argument that a new AD would be the right choice at this moment to help build this thing from the ground up as they enter the new Pac-12. And then there's the question of, well, can that actually happen? And when you consider the lengths that Oregon State had to go to just to get to cover Trent Bray's pretty measly buyout, the $3.6 million, and getting that covered by donors, I think that it's going to be pretty hard to convince people to then pony up, and I don't have the exact number, guys, but double, triple that just to get Scott Barnes with his multi-year contract, get him out of there. So I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think that's kind of why I think it's more of as an Oregon State fan for you, Brandon, you're kind of stuck with him, I think, in this moment. I don't think Scott is going to do this a whole lot longer. I think he is going to try to see Oregon State into the new Pac-12 and kind of hand it off. But of course, there's a football coach hire between now and then. I don't think it's that complicated of a process. You don't need a fancy search firm. You don't need to get too cute. And I think there's a balance here. You don't want to get too cute, and you don't want to go for somebody who's just a retread. You don't want to get somebody on their way down. You want to get somebody on their way up, in my opinion. So unless you're getting somebody who is a proven FBS winner who very much wants to be at Oregon State, I think you want to get somebody who's on the way up. I think Montana State's coach, Brent Vigen, should be the clear front runner here if he would take the job, which I don't think is even a certainty at this point. But to me, that would be the home run hire.
Yeah, it's interesting you point out the Barnes buyout stuff. Like, how many places have an athletic director who has a buyout 3 times the size of the head football coach? Like, James Franklin just got paid.
I don't think anywhere else in the country.
$50 million to not work anymore. It's kind of wild when you think about it that way. We're talking with Bill Orm, columnist at The Oregonian. Give him a follow on Twitter at Bill Orm. Had some great stuff. And on the firing of Bray and what happened in Eugene this weekend, we'll get to that in a moment. They're trying to do this like. And, some of the Barnes stuff is like, this has been really hard and the Pac-12 crumbling, and none of that is wrong. Like, they've been dealt an awful hand. So it's a very difficult spot to succeed in. I think what flies in the face of all of that, and I don't know how the rest of the year is going to go, is what's happened in Washington State. Like,
see that this weekend?
Since the crumbling of the Pac-12, Washington State is 11-8. They had back-to-back quarterbacks who might be top 10 picks in the draft leave. Their head coach just bounced on them. They had to hire a guy from South Dakota State. He's come in and he's pushing a top 5 team in the country and almost pulling off an upset. And again, they're 3 games above 500, while in that time, Oregon State is 5-14. So it's so hard to win and it's difficult. Then how is Washington State doing it? You can say maybe their schedule's been harder, but they just push Ole Miss. So that's a difficulty of it. How many other small school names would jump out? Like Jason Eck is a name that's gotten a lot of attention lately. Washington State went that route of getting a South Dakota State head coach, and Jimmy Rogers has looked good so far. Mm-hmm. Is that the thought process, or is it more so, hey, let's wait a couple of weeks and see if Jonathan Smith is available?
Oh, boy, there was a lot there. The Jonathan Smith question I do think is really interesting. Mm-hmm. I think that if Michigan State did pull the plug on Jonathan, you obviously have that conversation. I think that fans who are hurt about his decision to leave should get over it. I think that if he wanted to come back, I think you absolutely explore that. I also think that I don't think Jonathan has done himself any favors at Michigan State in terms of his own marketability for other jobs. But, if Washington opens up again this year, we're right back in the same place we were a couple of years ago, where does Jonathan get a sniff at Washington? There's a lot of familiarity there, obviously new administration from when he was there, but, that felt like a pretty natural fit a couple of years ago. UCLA is open. Again, I don't know that anybody would look at Jonathan and what he's done at Michigan State and say, that's our guy. But Michigan State was a weird fit for him all along. The Northwest, the West Coast. I just think that for a guy who left Oregon State in large part because of what he was going to be able to pay his assistants, that's the problem that's going to remain at Oregon State. He's not going to be able to bring in the assistants that he wants and who helped build this program in the first place. So I wonder if he would just have a hard time coming back to what the actual economic realities of Oregon State would be, even if he would be willing to actually coach the football team here again and kind of take on the challenge of Oregon State. So I think that's probably the biggest barrier there. I do think that if it could work financially and he was all into it, I don't think the fact that he left and burned Oregon State in the first place should be disqualifying. I think that's something that, fans, the administration, and everybody should be able to put behind them, just given the very harsh realities of this situation.
What were we more impressed with? Kurt Signetti in Indiana's performance at Autzen, your shirt choice when you were on national television, or your hair being perfectly in a line? Where were we most impressive? How do we rank these things for Bill Orm this weekend?
Well, I don't know how we rank them. I will rank Kurt Signetti at the top of that. I mean, that dude can flat out coach. Yeah, he can. And he can flat out, like, I don't know. Like he inspires confidence in a way that very few people do. I mean, he is a true football psychopath, and I mean that in the best way. I was bird dogging him after the game. You guys thought I was looking for my 15 seconds of fame. I just wanted to be, I wanted to be up his. I wanted to be, in just as close to him as I could in that post game. So I wanted to see kind of how that guy celebrated a win like that, because all we've heard from him since he kind of burst onto the national scene is all this boastful braggadocio, how great Kurt Signetti is, how great his team is, how they kick everybody's tail. And I was like, man, he just did it. They just kicked Oregon's tail. Like, let's see it. And I have never seen anybody off of a big win look so unimpressed with what they've just done. Like, it was hilarious. The way that dude just like walked around, like his head was kind of tilted to the side. Like, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I'm at Penn State watching Dan Lanning wait for his interview on Fox postgame, right? And like that's where he did the scream, and he's like sniffing, and like his face is bright red, and he looks like an absolute like like movie villain, who's just committed like heinous crimes. And then and like because he's so pumped up, and there's so much passion and so much catharsis, and like this just breakthrough of beating Penn State. And then the contrast with Kurt Signetti, who just stood there tapping his foot, kind of bored, just waiting for the guys in the booth to throw it down to Jenny Dell for the interview. It was so striking to me, that contrast. And I think I don't think there's a great commentary on like, their Dan Lanning is bad because he was so excited, and Kurt Signetti's good because he was so chill about it. I just really enjoyed the contrast, and I enjoyed seeing the way someone else processes, for Indiana, a historic victory. I mean, that's the biggest win that Indiana has had, in the regular season, ever. So, I mean, credit to them, credit to Kurt Signetti. I mean, what an amazing story. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was coaching in the FCS 3 years ago in division, or, coaching at Elon 10 years ago. This just doesn't happen in sports, right? Like, you don't get the guy who like bursts onto the scene in his 60s.
Yeah, the late bloomer thing from him is fascinating, of how it took him so long, and the interviews now that he's doing about taking the job as a head coach and leaving in Alabama to go be a head coach at a smaller school and taking a pay decrease. And like, I just had to take a gamble on myself to be a head coach. What's the takeaway from you, or I'm going to let you go on this one, on the Oregon side of things, of a team that seemed like they were heading in the right direction. Now all of a sudden questions come in. That's the beauty of college football. We have to do an autopsy after a loss. Has your opinion changed at all on the Ducks after this weekend?
I mean, you certainly have questions about the state of the offense. Dante Moore would look more rattled against Indiana than he did against Penn State. I think some of the conclusions we had about Dante after Penn State are maybe now a little bit more of open questions. Why isn't the offense more productive? All that stuff. How do we feel about the kicking game? But I think the reality is that was just a heavyweight battle between two really dang good football teams. And Indiana was better. Indiana was better coached, better schemed, and all that. Like, full credit to Indiana. If they play 10 times, like, what's that look like? I'm not sure. Like, I think those were pretty evenly matched teams across the board. And so I still feel kind of the same about Oregon. Obviously, they don't control their own destiny in the way they did when they were undefeated. But we're not in an era where losing a regular season game hurts you that bad. So I feel mostly the same about Oregon, even though, they did show a few of their vulnerabilities on Saturday.
You really did dance around and come close to talking about wanting to sniff Signetti there, Orem. I just want you to know.
I bet he smells good.
I was trying to think of the right metaphor, and I just wasn't sure what was like.
Well, you were going towards the butt. Like, you were going towards his butt. You're like, I want to get up there and get a sniff. You know what I mean? I wanted to get close. You danced too close to the sun there.
Like a dog at the park. I want to see what you got going on here. Let me sniff you a little bit.
No, I didn't dance too close to the sun. I could see the sun, but I avoided the sun. I diverted from the sun. Like, don't pin this on me. I avoided it.
That is not on. It's early in the morning. We'll allow it. And the hair looked great. The shirt looked great.
Was that
the
a
TV
Pendleton
time was
shirt?
Great.
Was that a Pendleton shirt?
Ooh.
It's the Pendleton jacket, actually.
Yeah.
How PNW of you.
Yep.
A natural PNW right there. Bill Orem, give him a follow on Twitter, at Bill Orem, columnist for the Oregonian. Go read all of his great work, OregonLive.com. And he'll post it on his Twitter account as well. Bill, thanks for the time this morning. We always enjoy it. And let's do it again soon.
More of a blue sky guy these days, though.
Oh, okay.
To be honest.
We'll go blue sky.
Yeah.
Let's shout out blue sky.
Okay.
There you go. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Take it easy, guys.
There you go. Bill Orem of the Oregonian. The Daily Ticker is always served up by Pelican Brewing's Hard Hops. Discover Hard Hops Blackberry Hop Infused Hard Seltzer and experience your hops differently. Should we talk about it? You guys are looking for a head coach.
What do you think he smells like?
I bet Signetti smells like Stetson. Old guy.
Old
or
fashioned
Brute.
cologne.
I bet he's got a Brute. Brute or
Brute.
Stetson would be my vote.
I agree 100%.
I didn't get close enough to sniff him. I wish I would have, and then I would have been able to have a firm answer with the research to back it up, but that's my guess at the get-go. Oregon State fans, are we happy? Are we sad? Where are we at?
A depressing note out of that interview that I want to talk about.
Okay, and a depressing note. Yeah, there's no hope in that category. We'll dive into Bray getting fired next. 105.1 FM, The Fan. The number of things that we won't even be able to get to today is going to be staggering. So tomorrow's show will be a heavy, heavy leftover show.
Isn't it always?
That's usually how it works when Oregon loses and Oregon State fires their coach. It's going to dominate a lot of the coverage on a Monday.
I want to derail this because we're already against it, but
Yeah.
what meal do you guys make too much of that you're more than likely going to have leftovers? Like, what is the meal that you cook at your house? Mine seemingly is it's an Italian dish. It's a spaghetti or a lasagna. It's something like that. Yeah.
Probably pasta for me.
Yeah.
A lot of leftovers are pasta.
Mexican food, I like to think I make enough for leftovers, and then I've had 9 tacos.
Doesn't
and I'm
usually end up that way. I know. Sometimes, and some leftovers aren't the same as others. I'm okay with a pasta leftover. It's not the same. It's not the best leftover, but it's passable.
Starting to like cold lasagna.
Ooh, are you really? That's weird.
Kind of weird,
That's
gross, but like
That's pretty gross.
kind of is delightful.
Is it? To each their own. Your team fired their head coach yesterday.
Yeah, there's a correction on the record.
Oh.
I just got from our good buddy.
Okay.
It's not quite double or triple the AD buyout.
Okay, Barnes' buyout isn't double. So Bray's buyout was just around $5 million. It's like $4.9 million, I think is what I read.
He thinks the buyout would be very similar for the AD.
Okay.
Not double or triple. So he just misspoke on that.
I mean, my thought was when Barnes came out and said we have boosters step up and put this buyout together, I thought, why didn't they put the buyout for the athletic director? That was literally my first thought.
Well, who are the boosters now that are still supporting
Like,
this?
why are we donating money to a athletic department that you have no faith in? Why would you have any faith in anybody making the right hire here? That's the existential crisis that they're facing.
Every interview is damage control. Hey,
Yes.
here's the associate AD to tell you why that deal blueprint's not that bad.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the AD with the same person doing the same interview 3 weeks later. It's like it's just the same stuff. It's damage control 24/7. It's a joke.
And it's always reactionary. It's not out in front. It's reactionary. When you released a statement 2 weeks ago and saying our journey to begin to back to winning begins in earnest now, we have utmost faith in Trent Bray. I said at the time, like, what else are you going to say? You could just not release a statement because then if you end up firing him, you look like an idiot. And that's exactly what ended up happening. We don't even need to talk about what happened on the field Saturday because it's not worth it.
They quit.
It was 25 or whatever it was, nothing at the half.
25-0, yeah.
25-0. The game was never competitive. They put a couple of touchdowns on the board in the fourth quarter. They benched Malik Murphy, who has been a disaster.
Well,
Everything about the team's Everything about the team's been a disaster. I know we've called for it, and it's never a fun thing to do because I think we genuinely believe that Trent Bray's a good dude, and he had a chance to go be the defense coordinator at Michigan State with Jonathan Smith, and he turned it down and said, no, I want to stick around at my alma mater. So in a time when a lot of people scurried off the boat, he was one of the guys that stayed and tried to keep this thing afloat. It's also, you have to acknowledge that I don't really know if he knows what he's doing, and he's in over his head, and this probably wasn't the right fit. What was your surprise level when you saw the news yesterday?
You're going to think I'm a sicko here. I watched the whole game, even when it was
stuck around
in doubt
the entire time.
I mean,
you were texting about things in the fourth quarter of that game, and when I got home and was reading through it, I was seeing Swag's responses of like, I'm not even watching anymore.
I had the Oregon game on the big screen, but like I wanted to watch because I kind of had a feeling going into this, and we did this with the big pack picks. I gotta say it slowly.
Yeah, big mistake there to take Oregon State off to get off the MAC game.
That's fine. The line looked funky, and then there's backup quarterback starting, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't see that coming. Like,
Robbie Ashford didn't play.
I just felt like this team was pretty close to caving in, and I thought Wake Forest was more talented, and so that outcome didn't shock me, nor did the announcement. I was more like being told by multiple people last week, there's a chance they don't fire him this year. There's a chance he comes back. And I'm like, there's not a chance he's coming back. You cannot sell that in any way. That's maybe a 2-win team if they're lucky, and we'll see. Maybe Lafayette, I think, has a over 500 record, and this, the portal's open now for all these kids.
How much of the move too had to do with how bad that was? One of the worst.
It's one of the worst.
Game. It looked like a COVID game. It was that bad.
It looked like there was 4,000 people in the stands after halftime, and I'm being generous with that number. So I don't blame anybody for going and being sportive and then saying, no, I'm out. They had to make it. I think the problem is like the fans don't want just that move. That didn't satisfy the appetite here. And I'm legitimately curious. The president, as Orem just says, seems to be in lockstep and know. And I know when she took over, she gave him this extension. I think it goes to 2030. Like, I think of all the concerning stuff from Orem there. It's not that they fired the coach. Everybody wanted that. And I hate to be the lone duck in these waters. I agree with you. Bray seems like a good dude. I think he genuinely loves Oregon State to his core. I thank him for trying. that hire was not literally nobody would have not taken that job. I think we're memory holing that moment. Jonathan left. It was awful. He kind of left you, right? Like the lawyer in Jurassic Park. The DC wanted the head coaching gig. You know why? Because it's a head coaching job.
Yeah.
To act like he did that job for free out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah, you're not making $2 million as a D coordinator
It's ridiculous.
at Michigan State.
Like he wouldn't have made that at Michigan State, and it's a head coaching gig. We didn't really interview anybody. It was ridiculous. So I thank him, but also I'm not going to act like that position wouldn't have been taken by anybody else in the country. Now, that being said, I don't know why this guy deserves to make the hire. Tell me, what's the benefit? And if you're hiring a firm and a committee, please separate that one out for me.
How much money is that going to cost?
$1 million. Like
to,
it's
at least,
$200K
right?
for you, maybe $500,000. Like, what are you doing? Who's making the hire then? Is it you or is it 9 different people on 2 different things? You cannot brag about getting a war chest in a lawsuit and then be scared to spend $3 million. If that's the case, then you don't have a war chest.
No.
You're a cheap-ass organization institution. So I'm sitting where some people are and other people's aren't. Clearly the big donors aren't, because if they were, he wouldn't be the AD anymore. I'm out, and maybe he'll make the right hire. I love that anybody acts like they know who the right hire is for this moment. I'm not even going to give you names. I'm not going to do that in this cycle. Acting like it's Montana State's guy or North Texas's guy or UC Davis's guy. You don't know and I don't know, but I don't feel very confident that the guy in charge of the actual hire does know. And so I feel for Bray, but it wasn't going the right direction, needed to be changed. I just don't know why this guy's the guy making the change.
Yeah, where you at, Beaver fans? Do you agree? Like, is there zero hope with the fact that the current administration is still in place making the next hire, needing a committee and a search firm to try and figure out who the next coach would be? 503-864-6326. That is the fan text line. That's how you can reach out to us. Read some of your thoughts and then talk about the math that is tough for Oregon State, because they want to cry, woe is me, and I totally get it. They've been dealt a really bad hand, but one other school has not had a problem with this. What is the difference there?
That was impressive what they did.
Dude, they almost pulled off an upset over a top 5 team in the country. And I know I said it on. I thought that was a look ahead spot for Ole Miss. They're playing Georgia this weekend, but that's one thing to look ahead. And then they almost won the damn game against a top 5 team on the road in the SEC. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and then some of the names that are getting thrown out there for Oregon State. I'm with Sprague, but nobody has any clue what the right hire is. I once wanted Oregon to hire Kevin Sumlin. I look like an idiot. So don't listen to what I have to say in the next segment, but we'll give you some of the names that are out there. First, here's Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop, a great spot for any occasion. And don't forget, you save 10% on your Butcher Shop order when you dine in. Menus and more at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on the Fan, the Seattle Mariners go into Toronto and steal home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh got the Mariners on the board with a solo shot in the 6th. Jorge Polanco did the rest with RBI singles in the 6th and 8th innings. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center. 2:08 first pitch on Fox and FS1. Logan Gilbert opposite Trey Savage will have coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. Following their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 to 8 in the latest AP poll. Ohio State, Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana rocketing up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to number 4, and Ole Miss falls a spot to 5. After starting the season 0-7, Oregon State announcing the firing of head coach Trent Bray. He amassed a record of 5-14 in a season and a half. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Russ from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Sports Saturday with Joe Fisher and Rashad Taylor. Saturday mornings at 9 on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Well, Oregon State's looking for a coach. You know who's available? James Franklin. He's on the market.
Sign me the F up if he'll take that job. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
him or
come on
Trent
down,
Dilfer?
dude.
I'll take him over Trent
You
Dilfer
want
all
Trent
day.
You want Trent Dilfer too? Should
No,
we
I
throw
was talking
Trent
about fired coaches.
Okay, fired. Yeah, he did also get fired. That is true. Yeah, I mean, look, I think your point on Oregon State is 100% valid in the way that the majority of the fan base feels of just why is there any trust equity built up in the athletic department to get this right?
There was a Fire Barnes banner that was hung
They
from
took
a
it
fan.
down. Yeah.
I know.
Made it take it down.
And honestly, they should be showing up more. Make them take down more of those. Social media is not a reality. A lot of us in society need to unplug from the internet in general, some coworkers included. But as loud as it gets, that's funny. As loud as it is right now, I think it's most of the reality.
Yes.
Outside of the donor base, because
What are we doing, donors? You guys got the cash.
Well, when you're chumming it up with everybody and it's older people with
cocktail
established.
hour.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's exactly what that is to me.
It's frustrating. Some of the names that have been thrown out early on, like you're spot on. It's very similar to me talking about coaching hires of NFL quarterbacks. Like nobody knows who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. We can have an idea of like, I think I would like this guy. I think this guy would be successful. But one guy that we didn't even give credit to or didn't even talk much about going into the season is the head coach that's with you in your conference right now. Mm-hmm. And it's Jimmy Rogers.
I didn't know his name at the start of the first game. I'm like, what's his name again? And you were like, Jimmy Rogers.
They hired him from South Dakota State.
Yes, the old Celtics coach.
Yeah, right.
The old Celtic, Jimmy Rogers. And he brought a ton of his team with him. There's like 80 new players. Mm-hmm. Since the conference fell apart, since 2023, Oregon State's record is 5-14. Mm-hmm. Washington State's record is 11-8. They have both lost head coaches. They have both lost multiple players. Washington State has lost a number 1 overall pick at quarterback and potentially a top 10 pick. We'll see how the rest of the year goes for Mateer and what his future looks like. But I don't think his NFL draft stock is shot after one bad game. So they've lost. It's not like Washington State hasn't dealt with all of the same things that you're dealing with. And they've had the ability to keep their head above water and be relatively good. And they won, 8 games last year? Am I right? 8 or 9? And it was kind of fluky, but then they derailed at the end of the year. It looks like they're probably heading to a bowl game this year based on the rest of their schedule. They are on the road against ranked Virginia this weekend, so we'll see if they can back it up. Back-to-back tough ranked games
but they played a hell of a game this week.
But they played a hell of a game, so it's like this whole, Barnes is going to try and cry. They're like, woe is me, we have no chance, and look at how hard our hand has been.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he's not wrong, but it's like there's another school who's literally in the same spot as you who is finding a way through their collective, 97% of the money going to the players and raising resources and like a belief in the coach, and he's got great sound bites, and so they've had to do the same stuff, and they've found a way to get answers. The first name that would come to my mind would just simply have to be Jason Eck, does it not? Like Jason Eck right now is at New Mexico. He left the FCS level to go there. His salary is like $1.2 million. Mm-hmm. He's also a guy who's I'll look up how old he is, but it's not like
he's a West Coast guy too. I mean,
he's a West Coast
guy.
He's almost 50 years old. He's 48 years old, about to turn 49.
Yeah,
so
but if he had like 2 or 3 really good years at Oregon State, winning 8-9, he might be a guy that a Power 4 team of some note would say, "We'll give you more money."
Can I just also say this, because I think that's going to get brought up a lot in this process of like
shouldn't stop you though.
Right,
I think is what you're going to say.
My program went through this when Cristobal left, and there was that big push from former players of like, we need to hire a guy who's got Oregon DNA.
Yeah, the Wilcox thing, right?
Taggart left, and Cristobal left, and we need somebody who has Oregon roots. Damn it, go hire Justin Wilcox. And I just chuckled at that. Like, if you bring in a coach who is successful at your school and they leave, is it painful? Of course it's painful. You thank them for elevating your program, getting us to a better spot, and then you hope the next guy you hire can maintain it. Like, living in this world of fear to me is not any way to be successful. You just made the safe hire. You made the hire of a guy who had Oregon State ties, who wanted the job. You didn't interview anybody else, and you took the easy off-ramp because he wasn't going to leave you like Jonathan Smith left you. How did it work out for you? Mm-hmm. So, like, sometimes you got to take risks, and I don't know if Eck would leave in 3 years. I don't even know if Jason Eck wants the job, but if you could double his salary and say, come coach at Oregon State in a better conference than what New Mexico is going to be in, to me, that's a no-brainer. There's other names that'll be out there, but that's the first one on my list.
Yeah, there's a lot, right? I saw the list yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Schools I've never heard of. I have no idea if this guy's good. If that guy's great, I assume they're on a list, so they're in.
Dude, I'd call Neuheisel's kid immediately. Get that kid on the phone. I don't care if he's 33.
UCLA might be giving him the contract as we speak.
They very well could be. He could be their next head coach.
Their offense. Now you got UCLA on the schedule. You're terrified.
Yes, they torched Michigan State this weekend. Speaking of which, Jonathan Smith might be available.
Well, I did a poll question on that. If he became available, like, would you be okay with the idea? And there's obviously going to be the pushback. Somebody said if he could find 4 Oregon State items he donated to the Goodwill store.
Can we go check
Maybe
it?
the Fates would agree that he could be allowed back. And somebody said, hell no, we left us. Totally get it. I just like that press conference would be him apologizing, first of all. Would that make you feel better? Like, I should have never left. You got to know what you have when you have it. Like, that's what the press conference would easily be. And I do think he's become available. I'm with you also on you need to stop caring about the future before you've even gotten to the present.
Like, let's find the guy that wins and
Like,
then
how
deal
about
with the
Jason Eck
problem.
win, and then, like, we got to deal with the problem of him maybe wanting to leave, or maybe he goes, I'm in a power group of 6, did a good job, I get paid, whatever.
Yeah.
I think the Orem note of this might be Barnes' hire and then he retires in a couple years is alarming.
Yeah, what are we doing?
First of all, his contract, I think I have it right that his contract goes to 2030. If I'm wrong, I'll correct that record. If that's true, I don't know why he would leave before 2030. If he were to leave in like a year or two, holy, what a mistake. And maybe that guy will win, but like that just doesn't make me feel good at all that he's going to make a hire and then maybe just hang him up. That's insane to allow that guy to make the hire.
It's a pretty big move right now for Oregon State. It's a pivotal moment for them.
It is a pivotal moment. They can't be woe as us. I think a combination of both sides can be true here. I think the Beaver fans that continue to be in the whole lunch pail grinder, let's bring Mike Riley, like all of that exists. I think you can have that world. I just don't want to be beholden to one specific group of people who have been at it or in it to be hired. Like, if Jason Eck is a guy that goes, hell yeah, I would take that job. I don't care if he knows what Oregon State football is beforehand. Hire him. He's proven he can win. But you can merge the idea of bring players back, celebrate your past, have an understanding of what the history of that football in its limited successive years meant to the fan base while operating in a whole new world and scheme of new coach. I think you can merge those ideas. I don't think they need to exclusively be like, well, it needs to be Oregon State and Oregon State only, lunch pail you. You can bring a group of players in with a new guy with unfamiliar territory. Lanning's doing this. Lanning's merging old worlds of Oregon
for sure
in with his world of Oregon. Seems to be working out just fine, minus what happened Saturday. So
yeah.
I think there's a whole range of things. You shouldn't limit your thinking in it. And again, nobody knows who the right candidate for this job is. But that's what makes me nervous about Barnes making the hire.
It is funny to think about. Oregon has played 6 games this year. They're 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the teams that they've played have fired their head coach.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma
Gundy
State,
Bray, and now Franklin.
Jonathan Smith,
Yeah.
and Trent Bray.
Dude, that's a dog world out
3
there.
of their 5 wins are against fired football coaches. So is that, not great for the old strength of record there.
God, to make it as a head coach and to get fired is the greatest of privileges your life could have.
I would laugh my way to the beach.
$50 million?
Never hear from me again, baby. See you later.
Oh, I'd be a TV guy.
Be a
Franklin
TV
could be
guy.
good on TV.
He'd be great on TV.
He'd
You're
be
not
really
wrong
good
there.
on TV.
Couple of quick thoughts here, and then we'll go. Somebody saying, why is there such a pushback to bringing back Jonathan Smith? How many times did they bring back Mike Riley? That's a great point. Mike, I know they're different in terms of the tone of when they left, and I think leaving for the NFL is a different taste than leaving for another college job. Mike Riley had 2 good years and then bailed on you. Like, let's not sit here and act like he didn't do the same thing.
Well, he had Ryan Leaf on the other
And then when
line.
he was brought back, everybody was like, yes, and Riley was great. So, at some point, you got to let bygones be bygones, dude. And if he gets fired at Michigan State and he shows interest in wanting the job and wanting to work with this athletic department
to act
again,
like you shouldn't interview him again
like,
is
what are we
ridiculous.
doing?
I don't know if he's the right guy for the job again. I'm just like the dismissal of the idea.
Somebody also said, see what Rob Aki does. Maybe he can turn it around. For the love of God, do not hire
do
the
that.
interim coach.
Don't be all in.
Do the interim coach thing.
And by the way,
It does not work.
He wasn't he supposed to be the special teams guy this weekend?
He was. He's the new special teams coach. How
Blocked
did it go?
field goal.
Yeah.
Should have been a touchdown, but some idiot on Wake Forest held when he shouldn't have held. But
you don't do the interim
Don't do
thing.
that.
The interim thing has like a 99% fail rate, and I don't know that for certain, but I just feel that in my
you
gut.
just literally did that.
We don't do
You
it,
just
dude.
brought in the guy who was
Yeah.
kind of the interim
No,
guy
no,
if
no,
that
no,
guy
no,
got
no, no.
fired.
Fresh
and
blood is needed, dude.
Don't be haul in.
No,
Don't be haul in.
We'll read a couple more thoughts. Oregon State fires Trent Bray over the weekend. They fall to 0-7 after an embarrassing loss at home to Wake Forest in front of about 4,000 people. Did not go great. If you got any other names you want to throw out, we'll react to it. We'll get back into that a little bit coming up in the final hour. How about $50 million to go away? $50 million. I got to admit to you guys, I'm still in shock that it actually happened. happen. I know the last 3 weeks have been ugly, and I know this is embarrassing of a loss as you could possibly have. $50 million in Penn State firing Franklin, truly shocking. We'll dive into it. And how about their big board of that's what you paid $50 million for? Next, 105.1 The Fan. Well, a lot of people chiming in with, can somebody start a petition for my job to pay me $50 million to go away?
No
I'd do it
kidding.
for $1 million, yeah. Dusty, if you want to pay me $2.5 million to not work anymore,
You leave me for 2.5?
I'd probably.
What's the
2.5 million.
minimum amount Dusty would pay you to quit our show?
The buyout that I could get?
Like if he gave you $250K cash.
No, I'm not quitting the show for $250K cash. No chance.
$300K
no
cash.
strings, no taxes, no chance.
Well,
It'd
it's cash, so you make that decision on your own.
No, I'm not gonna claim it. $2 million minimum.
Really?
$2 million. If you gave me $2 million, I'd contemplate it.
Okay.
Like I could live off that for a while. I'll be all right.
I think the majority of Americans, like the vast majority, would quit for
Probably less.
$400K.
I like this job. I hate waking up early every day, and there's times when I feel like, why am I doing this to myself? And I'm going to die at a young age because of it. But I love this job, and so it would take a decent amount to get rid of me.
Okay.
James Franklin got fired yesterday, and I still don't know if I've wrapped my head around it. 16 days ago, Penn State was undefeated and the number 3 team in the country, hosting College Game Day with the whiteout in their biggest game in a long time in the program. They were a play away from going to the national championship last year in a loss in the semifinal to Notre Dame, in which Drew Aller, stop me if you've heard this before, threw an interception at a critical moment of the game. And they just fired their coach, and they paid $50 million for James Franklin to not work there anymore. And I don't know if I've ever had a move that has been more, I totally get both sides of it. And I don't know if I come down on one or the other. Like, I get that it felt like you needed, like, this has been a disastrous stretch. You lost at home to Northwestern. Your season has crumbled. It is over. You have nothing to play for the rest of the way. And it was going to get really, really ugly. Not that it already hadn't, but you could be facing a Florida State type season from a year ago. That's how bad it could get if you're losing at home to Northwestern. While also acknowledging, like, that guy took over when you were just a year or two removed from having sanctions from, let's not forget what happened at Penn State, and tearing down statues, and he led you to relevancy and 10 wins every year, and you were in the Final Four last year in the Big Ten title game, and I get that he couldn't win big games, but I don't know if I've ever had one that I totally get both sides of it, and I don't know if I come down on one side of the fence or more of the other.
$50 million is a lot, man.
Especially when your hot board of names is Matt Rule.
Yeah, I saw this. By the way, he's got a connection, so he
played
Penn
at Penn
State
State.
guy,
He played
and
at Penn
the
State.
AD is the AD from his Temple days.
Dude,
They're like best friends.
If you're firing James Franklin and paying him $50 million to go hire Matt Rule,
Who, by the way,
talk about people who should be fired. That whole athletic department should be fired if that's your move.
Well, Matt Rule's buyout's got to be kind of high at
I'd imagine it
Nebraska,
is.
right?
Signetti's is only 10 or 11 at Indiana.
That's
but I don't,
not Nebraska.
That's no.
That's different.
When I also don't know if Signetti he's in his 60s. Like, is he trying to start over? I know Penn State might have more resources according to some, but their football operating budget is not that different than Penn State.
So here's where I've kind of landed, and I feel like I've been here for a while. I just think the landscape of that sport, and it's not to suggest that certain jobs are not higher than others. It's just that, like, I don't know why we look at these jobs as like some big stepping stone. Who's better right now, Indiana or Penn State?
It's not even close.
Okay, so it's where that guy is. So, like,
Right.
why does he need to go to Penn State?
Right.
Maybe he will. Maybe Penn State will pay out the you know what, and he'll say, yeah, I'll go to Happy Valley and I'll coach there. But, like, I just look at what he's done at Indiana. I look at anybody that says no to these jobs. Use Lanning, right? I know he's coming off a loss, but use Lanning.
He was in the news again on Friday with a Chris Lowe
Yes.
piece of, like, stop it. I'm not
He doesn't
going
need
anywhere.
to go anywhere. He's
No.
got all the backing and resources, and I thought Signetti talked about this pretty well. Like, Indiana's leaning into football. They're not pivoting away from hoops, but they're understanding their lot right now is in football, and football's a moneymaker. So I hope he doesn't leave. Why should he? He's 64, 65 years old. He has no reason to need to go to Penn State. He's better than Penn State at Indiana. I hope a lot of coaches recognize this because I think it's the reality. Some of these schools operate like they should just be entitled to take every coach from every program. I don't think so, and I don't think you should. You want to go hire Matt Rule? If I was Nebraska, I'd say, well, Matt Rule's building up, but we can go hire another Matt Rule. And Penn State, like, I don't know what evidence you have to say Matt Rule is better than James Franklin.
Sounds like it would cost $5 million to get Matt Rule out.
Okay, so that's not very
not
much
that
at
bad
all.
of a buy. I mean, they had
to come back against Maryland
yes,
this weekend.
This weekend, they almost lost on the
Game-winning
road to Maryland.
touchdown with a minute left.
He's
so
the same coach as James Franklin. He's a program builder that can't win big games. Like, it's the same thing. So you paid a guy $50 million to go hire a different version of that guy?
I think what the real story and takeaway here is not the candidate pool. It is how untenable it must have been in that locker room and within the booster base between them and the coach. That like the tipping point, The tipping point was the Oregon loss. That's clearly the takeaway here is
It was all on that game.
all
Everything
the
was
chips
on the line.
were pushed on red 11 and
Yep.
you hit black 12. And, well, I don't even know the numbers are in that. But you know my example. You get it,
We
right?
get the analogy.
So, like, clearly that's what it was.
Yeah.
We didn't put enough stock into that. They got beat pretty badly by UCLA.
I think they've just quit on the season. I think they gave up. That was their year, and they thought, oh, we can't do it again, and they have just given up.
And Northwestern was the break point where, by the way, shout out homecoming. I didn't think homecoming mattered even when I was in college. I guess homecoming is still a thing that matters to people because they said you can't lose your homecoming game. And I'm like,
what?
Is this 1945? What are we doing? Homecoming still matters to people?
Who are you going steady with, huh?
And
Who are you
Sally
gonna give
Ann
her?
and her poodle skirt.
Yeah,
Well,
give her the letter sweater.
Did homecoming matter to you guys in
No.
college?
I couldn't
remember
even tell you what happened during homecoming.
People talking about the game, but like there was never a dance build-up the way it was in high school. So
High school homecoming was a big deal. That was that was a big game. You didn't want to lose that because it was a dance afterwards.
because your class of like 500 people would go to one dance. That
Right.
wasn't the case in college. So,
No,
anyways,
that's a funny tangent.
clearly that was the absolute break point, and 50 million's insane. I would have thought he deserved the year out at least, and then let you figure that out. But
He was a play away from the national championship last year.
all of this has changed, man.
It
And
has
these people
totally
cannot
evolved.
be trusted with money. So good luck with private equity. I'm sure that's going to go well.
Well, it just flies in the face of anybody who said coaching fires are not going to happen anymore because we got to pay players and programs are worried about the new house settlement and 20 million. Like, no, that's not the case. Programs are clearly still willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money to get rid of a coach to not work there anymore. $50 million is insane.
Remember in COVID when they were crying poor?
Yes. Oh, they will again, too. Don't worry. That's why we're getting private equity involved in the Big Ten. I got a couple more thoughts on this to start the final hour. We do need to dive into a couple of NFL nuggies. There's going to be a lot of NFL stuff on the show sheet for tomorrow. And leftovers, it's going to be a loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague, 105.1 FM, The Fan.
Hey, everybody.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Seattle Mariners go into Toronto and steal home field advantage with a 3-1 win over the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh got the Mariners on the board with a solo bomb in the 6th. Jorge Polanco doing the rest with RBI singles in the 6th and 8th innings. Game 2 this afternoon from the Rogers Center. 2:08 first pitch on FS1 and Fox. Logan Gilbert, Trey Savage is your pitching matchup. We'll have coverage over on 910 ESPN Portland starting at 1:30. Following their 30-20 home loss to then number 7 Indiana, the Oregon Ducks tumble 5 spots from number 3 down to 8 in the latest AP poll. Ohio State, Miami remain at 1 and 2. Indiana rocketing up 4 spots to number 3. Texas A&M up 1 to 4, and Ole Miss falls a spot to 5 after barely holding off Washington State. After starting the season 0-7, Oregon State firing head coach Trent Bray. He amassed a record of 5-14 in Corvallis in a season and a half. Penn State announcing the firing of head coach James Franklin following their 3rd consecutive loss after starting number 2 in the preseason rankings. Franklin still owed $49 million, the second highest buyout in college football history. Another double dip for Monday Night Football, 4:15 on ESPN. The Bills, 4.5-point favorites at the Falcons. Then at 5:15 on ABC, it's the Bears, 5.5-point dogs at the Commanders. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The home of the firm of Harris and Meringue. Weekdays 10 to 1. The Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
Hey, let's do this final hour. Dirt and Sprague here, Portland Sports Leader in 105.1 FM, The Fan, 1080 AM.
Situation.
Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Everybody's in a great mood today. Thanks for being with us. If you're watching the video on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up. Why not? And if you haven't subscribed yet, why haven't you subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, too. What are we doing? Shout out to Jeff Rust, who is filling in again today. Jason Swigart is out for the foreseeable future.
I don't think he'll be back tomorrow.
No.
Based on what we know about the situation.
Yeah, we can't avoid his hippo rights here, but
We think.
probably not going to be in again tomorrow.
What if he was out all week? Tomorrow would be Schulte, by the way, not Rusty.
Oh.
If Swag is
So
out.
Schulte will pull the double?
No, they would just they would switch because Schultz
Well,
is
let's
coming
face it,
in
we're
for
both pulling doubles.
That's true, yeah.
Well, yeah, touche.
Because he's got to come in earlier for the back half of your shift.
Yeah, just tomorrow we'd flip it and switch it.
Okay. Hey, flipping it and switching it is fun sometimes.
Luke has 1 hour of radio program. How many minutes are not Seattle Mariner based?
0. He's going to do all Mariner time
He got
today.
World Series tickets.
He's already bought them. I know. He said it on Friday. I already bought my World Series tickets.
Kind of like it.
I mean, why the hell not? You
Team
want to be
destiny.
prepared. I got a buddy who does that for Oregon games, like for bowl games and stuff. He'll buy tickets to certain spots, and then you just sell them. You can, buy the insurance policy on your flights, and you can get out of it just fine if you need to. But it's easier to do that than buy it at the last second because it's so expensive. Lots to get to in the final hour. We'll dive back a little bit into the Ducks and Beavs and a couple of notes out of the NFL this weekend. The hot board for Penn State right now, I mentioned Matt Rule. He played there. Kurt Signetti, and his buyout's only like $10 or $11 million. So in terms of massive buyouts, that's not huge, but you just paid a coach $50 million to not work anymore. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri, and Manny Diaz at Duke. And this is where, like, on the one hand, I totally get it had gotten toxic. It seemed like it was over. The fan base hated him. They were booing him. So I understand why there felt like the need to make a move. The danger in all of this is that I think there's examples that can go either way. Now, are you going to be more of the positive side or the negative side? We have seen programs fire coaches because they were very similar to James Franklin, and they thought we're better than this. Nebraska's famously this with Bo Pelini. Florida is this with Dan Mullen. Like, you go down the list of places that are like, you know what, you're good, but we're not winning a national championship. That's our standard here. And it has gone horrible for those places. And then on the other side of that spectrum, you have a Georgia who did this with Mark Richt. You have I would put A&M in this category. Jimbo Fisher, what was his buyout at A&M?
Still the record.
Like $87 million they paid him to not work anymore?
I think it's 76.
Okay, $76 million.
Yeah.
Elko's got them undefeated in the top 5 in the country, and they seemingly have been nothing but success. They were a game away from playing for the SEC title game last year. So they have clearly upgraded.
So hire the Duke coach.
Hire the Duke coach. That's a lesson here. You never know how this stuff's going to pan out. To pay $50 million for a roll of the dice takes balls that I don't think that I have.
Well, but I think the difference here is like this isn't one individual with a vault of money making this decision in an office by himself.
No, there's definitely it's a lot of money coming from different boosters. And
1982 radio, there's 9 effing lines lit up, and they're all your biggest boosters saying, get him out, get him out, get him out.
Yeah.
And then Adidas is coming in, and your other boosters, we'll pay it, get him out of here. I do agree with you don't know how it's going to go. Of the names you just listed there, like
who inspires the most confidence? Signetti would be the easy one, but I don't know if he wants the job.
Yeah, Signetti is the slam dunk.
Yes.
Right? If there's a slam dunk, it's that. Now, of the names you listed, though, of programs that you say is an upgrade, the only one I heard you say there was really Manny Diaz, because I would rather be at Penn State than Duke.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be at Penn State than a lot of those places, but the trouble then becomes, and I think this is what coaches are realizing, like, James Franklin just went to the Final Four last year.
You have to take into account the circumstance. I agree with your overall probably feeling of the institution, but also go read Stuart Mandel's piece, which basically highlights how irresponsible these dudes are with all of this money. They cry, poor, poor, poor.
Yeah.
Up until now, if they fire Napier and Norvell, it's going to exceed over $200 million.
It's huge.
And now they're crying poor again, so here comes private equity, and they're going to cry poor some more, and they're going to be stupid with the money like they always are. Go read about it, though. Before they hired Franklin or gave him the extension, he was rumored to USC.
Before Riley took the job.
And the report was that basically his agent, because he fired his old agent, hired Jimmy Sexton, who's famously a coach agent.
And he got more money.
Boy, what a great racket that guy has.
Yes.
And Sexton said he didn't want to stay there. You're not invested. You're not showing that you're invested, and he wants this contract. So what did they do? They said, what do you need? What do you want? Give me this money. Give me these changes. So even at that institution that had a storied history, they were not invested the way you think they were, and it's only grown since Franklin has continued to be there. You better not miss. When you make this hire, you better hit Elko. You better not end up with a Billy Napier, because just as quickly as you have an A&M with Elko, you can be Tennessee waiting for your Josh Heupel.
Yes, for 15 years.
Yes, it's very easy to fall into that trap.
It's like tanking in the NBA. There's no guarantee that you're going to find the star that gets you out of it.
Let's also, not overlook the conference. I think it's a valid point. If Washington was in the SEC with that resume, they'd be in the top 25. They're still not, but 5-1, right? Jed Fish. How about USC absolutely throttling and controlling Michigan this weekend? That was impressive. Oregon is going nowhere. Here's Indiana now. Google Signetti. Ohio State is undefeated.
Just won the national title last year.
There's maybe now 5 teams on your radar that you need to be concerned that if you don't get that slam dunk higher,
you're behind all of them.
All 5 of those teams just as likely could pass you up, and now you're in a tough spot. And I didn't even name Michigan.
No, who's got a freshman phenom at quarterback.
Right, may end up popping. So
it is funny, too, because I think a lot of people would eyeball the jobs and say, well, Penn State is a no-doubt better job than Indiana. And I don't disagree with it on the surface level. When you dig into some of the numbers, I was reading a piece this weekend about it, because his name was Signetti's the first name that I think of. Now, he's done the interview thing, which, I don't know how much we believe certain coaches, and maybe he's one that you believe or don't believe. I don't know. But he was asked when he signed an extension last year of like, why are you doing this in Indiana? And he's like, we're doing great. Why would I go anywhere? We just won. We're heading in the right direction. So we'll see. Time will tell if he's telling the truth or if he's looking for a bigger job. The fiscal year 2024 total football operating expenses. So there's nuance to this. It's not the end-all be-all in terms of how things go in terms of NIL and all that extra stuff that ties into football. Just the fiscal year total operating expenses for the football programs. In 2024 at Penn State, it was $64.4 million. It's up there. You know what it was at Indiana? 61.5.
So barely behind.
So this idea that like
resources.
Indiana is this little sister of the poor.
Right.
We're so far behind Penn
They're an
State.
FCS school.
Dude,
almost.
like there's not a huge difference, and they're getting an $80 million, whatever it is, full Big Ten share. So this idea that he's just going to bounce because it's a better job, like based on what? Penn State is a top 15 recruiter. It's not like it's a top 5 recruiter. It's difficult to get there. They don't have an airport. You got to drive 2 hours. Like, there are limitations on.
Yeah, he was complaining about not having an airport.
He's complained about that for the last 5 years of how hard it is. We heard about all the Duck fans who went out there and the places they had to fly into and then drive, and then finding connecting flights was a difficult thing. Like, that ties into recruiting as well. And so I don't know. If I were a fan at the end of the day, I'd probably be okay with it, with also acknowledging that this is a total roll of the dice, and that if you don't get the right hire, Manny Diaz might be the one that attracts people the most. Are we going to forget that he was the head coach at Miami and it didn't go very well for him?
He's not the name.
Like, it's
Signetti.
It's okay.
Signetti,
and if Signetti says no,
else.
then where do you go? And that's where you're like, you just paid $50 million for a guy to go away.
Anybody in the NFL?
The biggest name on the list just said no. Is an NFL head coach leaving that job to go coach Penn State? I mean, at that point?
I don't know. Is this guy?
Posh Lupoi.
I mean, that's an absolute. Look, I love John Gruden.
Yeah, Will Stein.
You know me. I love me some. Let me tell you about this guy. I love this guy. He's never been a head coach in college football before. And we just tried this in North Carolina with Bill Belichick. Now, I know Gruden's not dating a 23-year-old, so he's a little bit different. I think his attention is fully on football and not, people cover magazine covers. We have no idea. That is an absolute roll of the dice. Will it work?
I think the tough.
Is he going to be better than Franklin?
The tough thing of this is how much of the noise you allow to believe, right? Like, there is one person coming out and saying because of this move financially, they might have to look to the up-and-coming coordinator who they have to just hope that they
Is
hit
Will
on.
Stein on your list?
I mean, he would be on a conversation list. Yeah, I know he didn't have a great weekend, and Indiana put him in a body bag, but I'm not going to act like his offense hasn't produced maybe 3 Heisman finalists.
Right.
That would be ridiculous. Like, you're not going to take one game and say you can't do it. I don't know, man. I don't know who the coordinator is.
It's fascinating.
I don't even know if Signetti would entertain it. I'd imagine he would financially ask for more
What if
because
they win
of
a
this.
national title this year at Indiana? He's not leaving.
What if he won at both Penn State and Indiana?
And then take the job in the
said-
same conference?
He'd look at you and go, "I'm the GOAT." And you'd go,
You
"Well,
are."
What do you?" And he'd go, "I'm
Google
the
me.
GOAT."
Google me.
And you go, "You're right. You are, Kurt."
Fascinating times ahead, dude. Penn State has been, a stronghold in college football for a number of years now under Franklin, competitive for 9 or 10 wins almost every single year, and they think they're better than that. It's a roll of the dice. We'll see if it plays out for them. $50 million, a lot of money to spend on James Franklin. And now the question becomes, how ugly is this going to get? Like, are we staring at a 3-9 season? Which I think we might be, because they got some difficult games remaining on their schedule, and I don't know where they go from here, and it's an absolute dumpster fire in Happy Valley. Let's dive into the NFL. We have more injury news for one team, a team going on the road and getting a massive win. How about an incredible play in a must-win situation? We'll see how much NFL we can jam into the next segment. We'll do it next. 105.1 FM, The Fan. Well, start our weekend recap of the NFL with asking the question, was Broncos and Jets the worst game in the history of the National Football League?
Yeah.
Dear God.
Dear specifically
God.
told you not to let me gamble anymore on Sunday international London games.
I mean, I don't blame you for taking the Broncos. They should have covered that game. Their offense was atrocious.
Should they? I mean, their offense has been for 60% of every game they've played, and
The
then they
Jets had
randomly have this bursts.
The Jets had 2 safeties in the game. Like, what? Holdings in the end zone? Justin Fields had net negative 10 passing yards. Like,
Yeah.
and
Aaron Glenn says no quarterback changes need to be taking place. What kind of question is that?
Wide receiver walking off the field at the end of the first half while the clock is still running because he's a deer in headlights and doesn't know what he wants to call, and there's no communication. Like, they are in over their heads.
Can you tell me one? Can you trust Tua Tagovailoa with a secret? And why is Mike McDaniel still the head coach? What was the Dolphins?
Tua tried to say we're having players-only meetings, but players aren't showing up. And then one guy who played in Miami quote tweeted it and was like, the first team meeting we ever had when I was in Miami, he showed up late to the meeting.
Yeah, he said people were showing up late or not showing up,
Yeah.
and the leaders need to hold him accountable. And he was like, "You're the
You're the leader.
$200 million quarterback.
You're the guy." That was the Chargers. It didn't matter how they got it. They just needed to win that game.
Yeah.
Because they are so decimated by injuries. They have a running back that I've never heard of before run for 124 yards randomly in the game. And they needed a Herculean play from Justin Herbert with 2 defensive ends laying all over him to complete a pass and set them up in field goal range. Their only hope is to hold serve until they get guys back. They desperately needed to win that game, and they got the win that they needed.
How did 2-time Coach of the Year Kevin Stefanski look? Because he's the best coach in football twice.
I mean, I felt like we're 1 week closer to seeing Shedeur Sanders, that's for sure, because it was not pretty for Dylan Gabriel in that game.
Yeah, I'm also not going to pin it all on
no,
Dylan
it's not all on him.
freaking Gabriel of why they looked so inept.
Nope, that's definitely not the case. Seattle went on the road and won a massive game in Jacksonville, and I still am asking the question, is Trevor Lawrence good?
No, I don't think he
he's
is.
good. And also, some of the numbers on Sam Darnold are, like, eye-opening, dude. There was a stat floating around after the game this weekend of him over the last 2 years as a starting quarterback in the NFL and pushing the ball down the field. And essentially how he is, here it is, deep passes since 2024. Sam Darnold is number 1 in the NFL in completions, number 1 in the NFL in completion rate, number 1 in the NFL in passing yards, and number 1 in the NFL in yards per attempt.
I'm going to sound like I'm crapping on him, and I don't want it to sound like that. It's nice to throw the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba and Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, it helps a lot to have
But
weapons.
he's been very good. Yesterday's story to me for Seattle was easily
Their defense dominated that game, dude. See, Jacksonville couldn't run the football to save their lives, and Lawrence was under siege the entire game.
Well, even when Lawrence had, this is my counter to the Lawrence thing. Like, go back to the game they beat the Chiefs in. I mean, my God, he had a dropped interception. He tripped on himself twice, and he somehow still got in there. How many throws did you count yesterday where he had a guy and he just overthrew him?
A dozen, it felt like. I know I'm exaggerating, but it felt like it.
Games can swing and change. Right? That was one of those weird, Seattle's defense dominated, and their offense was fine. Smith and Jigba was obviously awesome, but it wasn't like they lit up the scoreboard for 30-plus points.
No, you're not wrong there. Elsewhere, we're asking, are the Steelers a legitimate title contender? I don't know how to feel about them. I don't think that they're in that category, but they're also 4-1. They're going to run away with that division because everybody else is a dumpster fire.
How about Harbaugh saying they're not out of it?
I mean, yeah, you are. Pittsburgh gets Cincinnati on the road on Thursday Night Football. So, I don't know, Flacco put
Did
up
they
a
look
fight,
better
I
with
guess.
Flacco to you?
No, they didn't.
Or was that a Green Bay still kind of weird and funky game?
I don't know if Green Bay is good either. I thought Green Bay was really good. I mean, I know they're good, but how good are they is the follow-up question. The Bucs won again despite being shorthanded. Mac Jones threw a couple of picks, but it wasn't necessarily all on him. The storyline of that game is the 49ers, who have had the worst injury luck, it seems like, of anybody in the league this year, lost their best player to, what was it, a fractured ankle, I think is what they're calling it.
His ankle went the wrong way.
His ankle,
Bob.
yeah, the foot's facing the wrong direction, and he's not going to play again for a long time. And so Tampa moves to 5-1. Are we still worried about Tez Johnson's 40 time at the Combine? Because are we sure he's not fast? Are we sure he can't run quick? Is that still a thing, or are we okay?
I think
with him now?
I think it's okay.
Is he football? Is he football fast? Is that a little bit different than 40 time fast? Because he looked pretty quick on that touchdown.
That was a crazy sequence because if you didn't see it, Baker had 3rd and 14.
Dude,
he had
scrambled.
2 defensive linemen wrap him up but not fully pull him down. He gets out of it. He dodges 2 other guys and crosses his arm past the first down marker to pick up a 3rd and 14, and I think it was 1 or 2 plays later, throws it deep and connects with Tez Johnson, who speed-wise it was impressive. The catch
was a great catch. It was a great catch.
It was a fingertip pull-in catch at full speed where he kind of somersaults in, and then he does a flip in the end zone. Just unbelievable. Baker is been awesome, man.
MVP, dude. At this point in the year, he has to be the front runner,
Oh,
right?
he's number 1 right now in the all
Long
too early
ways to
MVP
go.
conversation.
Long
but
ways to go.
Yeah, it's Baker right now.
The way that he scrambled that, it feels like he has one of those a week where he just a back-breaking play, and then he gets up and he talks S in your face, and I love every second of it, no matter who he's playing. Like I think it was Lenore at the end of that scramble that he got up and kind of went chest to chest with him. Like, what are you going to say? I just picked up a 3rd and 14, and then I'll throw an easy touchdown to Tez Johnson. He had one where he had a guy on one of the earlier touchdowns where he got lit up in the pocket, but he stood in, took the hit, and threw the football, and he immediately got
up in the guy's
and
face.
started flexing on the guy that hit him about we just scored a
I know.
touchdown. Like, dude, I love watching Baker Mayfield play football. He's so fun. He looked awesome. Some of the other questions out of the weekend, there's a handful of them. Is Mac Jones. I had my Patriots quarterback screwed up. Is Drake May the heir apparent?
I mean,
I'm starting to get a little nervous. Well, I'm starting to get a little nervous,
heir
Bob.
apparent to win for 20 years and be in every Super Bowl or an
starting to get a little
AFC title
nervous.
game. I don't know if I'm
really
going there.
good again this weekend.
He looked great.
He's looking really good. 10 tuds,
looked
2
good.
picks on the
I
year.
know.
A little nervous.
Booty looks good. Defense is fine.
I think the Pats are a playoff team. I think the
they're-
Pats are a playoff team in the AFC.
They're looking every bit the part.
Yeah.
I mean, at least at this point.
I also love that the week that I jump on the Colts bandwagon to cover a big spread, Jacoby Brissett shreds them and they eke out a win. They've been blowing everybody out, and I'm the late one to the party. Like, oh, here we go. Here's a close win for the Colts. But they did move to 5-1. Any other big NFL notes that were missing in my quick glossary of what happened this weekend in the National Football League?
No, I'm kind of curious about tonight. We got a doubleheader for Monday Night Football. That one's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Atlanta's rocking the red helmets at home with the black unis.
Interesting one for Buffalo, dude. The way that they lost last week, that's a bounce-back game.
I would argue the way Buffalo's looked the last 3 weeks
totally
with only
fair.
one loss in there, it's a very interesting game. And also Atlanta playing in dire straits because they're already behind Tampa in that category.
So double whammy sports. You got doubleheader in Monday Night Football, and you got 2 baseball games going on.
Yeah, I know. And most of America is going to obviously be watching the NFL. And then like a rematch of a wild game last year that you could argue probably sealed up what's-his-face getting fired for Chicago.
Yeah, Eberflus.
Because you remember that game was Chicago kind of dominated, and they were up, and then late, and then DC threw the Hail Mary, and somehow the guy got behind everybody and caught it, and they won in the walk-off. So I'm curious to see Daniels. They looked really good a week ago in L.A., and he was talking a lot of trash. But overall, I think for the most part, Sunday kind of, I don't know if anything really jumped out. I continue to have questions about the Broncos' offense.
Yes.
That's going to continue to be a thing.
Their
Nothing about
defense will keep them in every game because that's how good they are, but their offense can just look awful at times.
It's more so the secondary AFC teams that you ask yourself, can they beat the Chiefs or the Bills?
New
if
England.
Those are your top tier teams. Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
yes. I think those are the teams. The Chargers, can they get healthy? Can they get back in the thick of it? How about the Colts? They're 5-1. They haven't been this
5-1
good
Colts.
since 2009.
Yep.
They didn't even play a great game yesterday. They had a DB get injured with a concussion who didn't play. Their linebacker play is questionable at best. And they just doesn't matter. Even in their bad games, they're finding ways to win. So being 5-1, I just think you have a threshold in the NFL where you get to a certain number and you go, okay, that team's a playoff team.
Yeah.
And they're just a couple wins away from me just going, okay, that's done.
Yeah, can they beat Kansas City? I don't know, but they're certainly a playoff team. The way that they played.
Kansas City has shown vulnerabilities.
Yes.
Buffalo has not looked stellar. I don't know if Baltimore's completely out of it. I certainly wouldn't pick them to win their division, but I don't know if they're completely out of it if Lamar comes back. So a lot of question marks in the AFC. Like, as much as we wonder about the NFC, is it the Eagles and everybody else, or is it the Eagles, Lions, and everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Here are the Bucks, just maybe being continued to look over. I know people are starting to buy them now.
And we've seen back-to-back losses for Philly, and Detroit just went on the road and got beat up pretty. I mean, that game could have gone differently had they converted some 4th downs in the first half. Campbell wasn't wrong about that, but then you look up at the end of the game, it's a double-digit win for Kansas City.
My weirdest 2 teams in both conferences are Green Bay and Denver.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Because they win, but like I go, I'm not impressed by you, but I'm impressed by certain parts of you.
Green Bay's offense should look better than it does.
That's an odd
for
one.
a franchise but at least Denver has the argument of we got a quarterback in his second year of the league. And he's only getting that's the caveat that you can put on it. That's not the case for Jordan Love. He's been around. He's been a starter.
Long time.
That should not look as bad as it looks. I think they've upgraded at wide receiver a little bit. I know some of their guys are banged up, but that offense can leave you just scratching your head from time to time.
Like, who is, if I asked you, the best target for Denver, you would say is Cortland Sutton, right?
Yeah.
1 catch.
Yeah, not a lot there.
Now, did I miss him getting banged up? Because I did join that game late.
I did as well. I turned it on near the end of the first half, so I don't know if he played I know we got a Bronco P1 who can let us know on that. I don't know if he played the entire game or that's just he had 3 targets on the game and only 1 catch. That to me was kind of summing up their passing offense. Like, there is a slight benefit of the doubt. They were off of a win against Philly, had to go on the road to London to play a team that's terrible, and they knew that they were going to win. And so I don't know, like the schedule can do that to you from time to time.
I get that, but it's more so just like looking at the
how they've looked all
consistency
year
of it, right?
Yes.
It's and some games they've been like, hey, they barely scored, and then Philadelphia, it's this rush of points, and
21 in the
winning.
second half, yeah.
And then I think of kind of the opener against that yesterday they looked like how they looked in week 1 against Tennessee.
They won the game, but it's primarily because the Jets are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and the Titans are one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's 2 of your 4 wins on the season.
Yeah.
And so you've kind of used up those games. Now, it doesn't mean there's not any gimmies left for them. They still got some games that they'll be easily favored in down the stretch, but the schedule will get much more challenging for them. And so the offense unquestionably has to get better. The Herbert throw was a thing of beauty. As somebody who's rooting for them to get a win, he desperately needed that. By the way, a quick let me just read this stat for you real quick. A little head of NFL Factoid Tuesday. Since the start of the 2020 season, when he showed up in the NFL, 18 game-winning drives for Justin Herbert. Mahomes is the only one with more. He's got 19. So 18 to 19.
Him doing it with literally a DT on him
that was
just like the epitome of
that
the
was the play
situation.
of the day. Like, you're under siege. You know you're going to be under siege. There's going to be constant pressure. And he balled out yesterday against a bad Dolphins team, but he has no help around him, and they desperately needed to win. Here's Harbaugh out for the game.
That play will be burned in my mind for till they throw dirt over top of me. Justin Herbert back to throw. Defender wrapped around him. He's able to just mighty man it and shake it off and hit Ladd McConkey. Ladd does his stop, fly by, and starts getting that necessary yardage. And here comes Zion Johnson flying ahead of Ladd. Just the type of the want to, the great desire to win. He gets that block shielded, and there's another 20 yards. I'm going to remember that play till they throw dirt over top of me. That's how great I feel about that.
Well, it's huge because you don't want to lose to that Dolphin team.
Dude, if you lose that game and you're 3-3 in a row, and you lost to a bad Dolphins team,
you lose the division lead. Broncos win again. Chiefs win again. And now you're like, are we going to be the 3rd team in this thing? And maybe they will be, but right now they get to hold that off for at least another week with a great win on the road.
You're in first place for a little bit longer. We'll have all sorts of NFL leftovers tomorrow. We'll get our NFL factoids in. There's a lot more to dig into. That was a quick glossary of everything that happened in this weekend in the NFL. Let's dive back into the local angles. We got some poll questions up on it for the Ducks and Beavs and what happened in the last 48 hours. That is next, but first here's us with a update.
Now, from the George McCoy and Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on the Fan Sports Network, 105.1 FM and 1080 AM.
First on the Fan, Oregon and Oregon State baseball have reached an agreement to play an annual game at the new Hillsboro Hop Stadium for each of the next 4 seasons. Next year's game is scheduled for April 14th.
Damn right. Damn right.
Can we play it at PK Park? Or not? Or it's sorry. What am I thinking? When Timbers play Providence.
Providence.
Can we turn that back into a baseball field?
That'd be a little weird.
Would it?
Yeah, I think it'd be a little odd.
Bring it back.
How about this? A group of fishermen going salmon fishing on the coast just near Newport.
Okay.
Newport, excuse me. They got a video online you can find. They had a fish come up from the depths of water and come up right up to the boat and allow them to touch it.
Whoa.
A 7-foot, 1,000-pound sunfish. Have you ever seen a sunfish?
I never have seen it. Do I need to Google
a
it?
sunfish. These things are
sunfish?
Hideous.
Massive. They're ugly fish, but they don't bite. They don't.
That's an ugly fish.
Dude, they're very ugly. They
That's
are
ugly, yeah.
They grow massive size. Really cool moments. Some fishermen out there near Newport.
He just wanted a little rub, a little pet.
Yeah,
a little rub for the sunfish.
It's all any other guy wants. A little rub.
Can I shout out the bros in Stillwater? I don't know if anybody saw this weekend. It'll probably fly under the radar. Oklahoma State's terrible. They fired their head coach. We all know that. There was hardly anybody at their game. one fan started a trend. He walked up to a section in like the 200 level. He took his shirt off by himself and just started waving it around his head. One guy.
Pablo.
And then they went back to that stand on TV like 10 minutes later, and then there was like 20 fans. And then they went back to it 15 minutes later, and there was like 150 fans. And by the time the game ended, I think Oklahoma State lost. I can't even tell you what the final score was. Go Google. The entire section was full of guys with their shirt off, filling up one section in the upper level, all waving their shirts around their heads.
Sounds like a Portland protest.
More baseball series, fisherman stories, and, lots of naked men in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's Window into the Fan.
Well, we'll have more on it as the week goes on. Oregon Falls, Indiana over the weekend. First loss in a while. The long home winning streak only lasted, 2 weeks? Right? I think they got that 2 weeks ago because Washington had a longer one than them. And Georgia had a longer one than them, and they both lost in the same weekend. I think it was the same week Oregon beat Penn State.
So you didn't see Cignetti was asked about that, and he
No.
goes, well, I guess we got a longer one now.
I mean, they do. They haven't lost at home in a while because they won all the games they lost last year were both on the road, Ohio State and Notre Dame in the playoff.
He's weirdly confident, and he wants to, I think, be more cocky this year, but he's trying to, like, subdue it until he can, like, burst out with
Fully
a natty
do it, yeah.
and let you know I'm the best here.
Or a conference title. Like Indiana winning a Big Ten conference title this year would just be mind-blowing, but we got to move past that.
Yeah.
But I think in the coming days it'll be more about, for me, just I'm very excited to see how this weekend goes. You now get to travel thousands of miles away to go play Rutgers in one of the longest conference trips that you're going to have on the season.
Mm-hmm.
And just, we see teams, I'll use an analogy, right? Penn State had this where I don't think you're in the same spot as them, but Oregon wins that game. They clearly just kind of packed it in and went home and were like, all right, that's it for us. Not that their first 3 weeks were beautiful, but everything just kind of imploded on itself. Who do we all think now is one of the best teams in the country, the way they played the last handful of weeks? Mm-hmm. It's a team that got embarrassed in the first week of the season, and it's Alabama. Alabama got embarrassed by Florida State.
It's a good road win, man. That was a tough one for them against Missouri.
They've had a couple of them in a row. They had to go on the road to Georgia and get a win. They came home and played Vanderbilt, and that's their Super Bowl, and they were ready to beat you, and they handled them. I mean, not handled them isn't the right word. It was a back-and-forth competitive game. Then they go on the road to Missouri. Now they get Tennessee this week. But I think it's a good reminder of, like, how you look in your lowest moment doesn't have to be the final chapter of your season. And I'm very excited to see how they bounce back. They're a 16.5-point favorite on the road at Rutgers this weekend, and they have fallen to number 8 in the AP poll.
I think the other thing, too, is, like, timing of everything, right? Like, when Penn State loses to Oregon in a whiteout, it is 12 years built up of you can't beat that team.
Not a fair analogy, for sure.
No, but I think you're valid of, like, you do want to see the response here, which that's the beauty of an extended playoff. And, dude, I think there's a conversation to be had of, like, how many two-loss teams will we end up with? Because we're sitting in a world where there might be too many two losses, and then how do you sort out
the strength of
that
record,
business?
strength of schedule,
Good
who
luck
beat
with that.
who, and all that.
Somebody's going to get left out in the SEC or the Big Ten, and we're going to hear about it for a week. You're allotted some grace. But I just continue to say, I think Oregon will handle their business against Rutgers. I understand the travel part, but there are later kick times. So I would be willing to bet Oregon probably covers that number. I saw Rutgers got up to 10-0 lead on Washington.
Yeah, they had them on the ropes a little bit
and
early.
then get kind of burned and just kind of taken out of that thing. So I think Oregon will handle their business. I'm not so much concerned about that. I'm more just... I think it's fair to wonder some things about Oregon from that game. I think I'm more interested of, like, oh my God, Indiana, have you arrived? I mean, you didn't just win that game, and it wasn't like you won by 30 points here. You won by 10. It just, even when it was tied at 20 from the pick six, I'm watching this going, God, this feels like Indiana is dominating.
It was a game you felt Oregon was lucky to be in because they were not playing good, and you're
That's
like,
exactly
how is this 20 to 20
it.
right now?
100%. And their next drive, they went down, didn't hesitate, not any problems at all. That Hoosier defense, man, what they did to that Oregon offense. We looked it up earlier, and shout out to Casey for it. The last time Oregon had a home loss where they scored one offensive touchdown was October 7th, 2017. It's a hell of a long time to go without being held like that. That was
with a starting quarterback.
God,
too,
that was impressive by Indiana's defense.
Yeah, the last time it happened, it was a backup quarterback in Braxton Burmeister. So that tells you, even with a starter, you got to go further back than that. That a team has not defensively done that to Oregon in a long time, and Oregon's had some bad years offensively. Anthony Brown was once their quarterback, and even in those situations, it didn't feel like teams defensively could do that. They completely befuddled Dante. Like, Dante Moore did not have answers to it. And you could tell a quarterback who was uncomfortable when they're sensing pressure that isn't actually there. It's the famous Sam Darnold line of, I'm seeing ghosts right now, because he's seeing things that aren't actually there, and he's feeling things that aren't actually there.
Yeah.
And it just, you have no sense of confidence in how long you have in the pocket. You have no idea where the pressures are coming from.
Yep.
The way that they were kind of letting guys run free at times. There was a moment Noah Whittington had to pick up a blitzing linebacker untouched, and he just got absolutely blown up and led to a sack. And we've seen Oregon running backs handle that in different moments this year, and that certainly wasn't the case. And so I don't want to simplify it and put it all on Dante Moore, because it's obviously more complicated than that. And I don't believe that wins and losses are directly a quarterback stat, but he certainly has to be better than he was on Saturday. And I have faith that he will be. I don't know if it was the week off and you got rusty. It's not a fair excuse, because Indiana also had a week off, and they came out and they looked sharp and they looked ready to play. They had the better quarterback on Saturday, and then we talked about it last week, that being a big determining factor in the game. And I know that he threw a bad pick six in the moment that almost allowed Oregon back in the game with a chance to win it, to give them some hope when their offense wasn't doing anything. anything, I'm watching the entire game outside of one play from Dante Moore, which was essentially a coverage bust to a wide open wide receiver. Mendoza was the significantly better quarterback in that game, and it's a big reason why they had a chance to ultimately win it and then ended up winning it at the end. The suddenness of it ending too was a bit of a blow, like a kick in the nuts, because you get the pick six. You give up the long touchdown drive, and you're like, all right, they got the ball back with about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and it's a 27-20 game.
Was it the second play?
Second play of the drive. It's a deflected ball at the line of scrimmage pick, and you're like, oh, all right, game's over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then
not that you had much hope in the offense at that point because they hadn't done anything in the entire second half, but the thought of like, we could maybe somebody breaks a play. A few things that I forgot to bring up earlier in the show. Kenyon Sadiq not having a touch or a target in the first half.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Dier Hill running off tackle. When you're in that offset pistol formation and Davison is usually the guy on the right or left, I was yelling every time they line up at that formation. Here comes off tackle for Dier Hill. And they ran off tackle for Dier Hill. Yeah. No play action boot off of it. No action off. Like just those are the things that you're supposed to identify in a self-scout during your bye week that they clearly didn't, that they're going to have to clean up. And now we get to see how they do it against Rutgers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you're right. They had the ball. They had just given up the touchdown. That was the Surratt.
The push off or not push off. Yeah,
I mean,
the DB wanted to call there.
They largely don't call that on offensive guys. You did kind of feel like, oh, there it was. But you're like, well, there's still 6 minutes, and this game has been a little weird in some ways.
If you break one chunk play and you get a little momentum going and maybe use some tempo, and it was like first play of the drive, if I'm not wrong, I think was a sack. I think they tried some like boot action and he got sacked. And then second play, they tried an RPO and it was deflected and picked.
When they got the ball back again after being down 10 and he threw the pick, they got him into the coverage thing where they read what he was doing. They got that pick, and you kind of went, yeah, that's kind of how it felt, right? Yeah. Like that was the kind of the icing on the cake. The cake was baked. It was done. But them getting that second pick, I think, kind of told everything. I think the only thing you wonder about this is, one, you always wonder how a coach like Lanning, who's loud and he's out there, but he's still young, he's going to have these moments where other coaches get him. Mm-hmm. You wonder what he learns from it. You talk about self-scouting. How do they change up formations now to not be as predictable?
Yeah.
The second part I wonder, too, is for more so the back end of your schedule, because I am going to kind of overlook Rutgers. I'm not giving Wisconsin a shot to hell in your Grateful Dead game. And then I had Iowa. Okay, it's interesting, but you got USC coming to your building and you go to Washington. For those two specifics, I almost wonder, too, how much those coaches can take away from what Indiana did and planned against with Dante to make him rattled more. Or can Oregon, as you say, self-scout, look at the tape. You don't question maybe the confidence of him. I think he's going to come right back. But it's more like, can you duplicate what Indiana did? What did you find that they did that really took away those deep shots outside of the Benson catch? And then if you limit that, are you able up front to hold your own and kind of limit Oregon's run game for the most part, or at least convince Stein that the run game isn't there?
The offensive performance reminded me a lot of the opening of last season. It just felt like the offensive line and quarterback weren't always on the same page. They weren't sure where people were coming from. They were uncertain of how to pass guys off up front. Dante Moore wasn't communicating with the protections the right way. Like it reminded me a lot of that. They just kind of looked lost, which halfway through the season is a head scratcher and alarming, but now you got a week to go figure it out at Rutgers. And to your point, I don't think anybody's going to change their tune, win or loss of from this game to the Rutgers game. If you blow them out, it'll still be, let's see how the rest of the season progresses, because Rutgers is not very good. Don't lose that game for the love of God.
Where are you going to be at if that happens?
Then it's not going to happen, right?
You be at work Monday?
I got not feeling good today.
It's called the swag.
I got the swag. So we'll see how next week goes. We'll have a lot more to break down from that game and look ahead. We got some audio we didn't even play. Tons of leftovers on the show tomorrow. Let's close it up answering the poll questions. We got 2 baseball games today, and we got 2 football games today, baby.
We do.
Loaded Monday of sports. We'll wrap it up next on The Fan.
The
guys, take a look at the poll questions today. Got a, I'd imagine, pretty happy firm of Harrison Moraine coming up. Got to feel good about the Cougs going on the road and fighting Ole Miss.
That might as well have been a win.
That's basically a win. Let's just give them a win for that one.
Where would that have ranked for Lane Kiffin's all-time losses? That had to have been number one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say they were a 32-point favorite in that game.
Crazy.
And USC kicked the crap out of Michigan this weekend and Bryce Underwood. So we got a happy. We were a bit of a sad show today. I guess. Well, I mean, if you wanted Bray fired, maybe you're excited about that. Although I don't know if you're trustworthy of who's going to make the next hire.
Yeah, I'm sad about that.
But that part of it's a little bit of a bummer. But from sad tissues to happy tissues today. That's what we do on the fam.
He's in full USC garb too.
Oh, he's got all red and yellow on, looking like a starburst out there. Yeah. If Jonathan Smith became available, should he get serious consideration to be the head coach again? 52% of you say no.
Yeah, I've basically heard from 100% of those 52%.
I genuinely don't get it.
Think of tough. Willie Taggart, that's tough. He was 7-5 in 1 year.
Didn't get us to 10 wins. He was there for one season. He didn't build the program up, and he's also
one of your
not
own.
an alumni.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
Like, I would think that based on everything that we've read and heard about how incompetent the athletic department is, gives Jonathan Smith a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, does it not?
It does. Yeah, but there's still a lot that's like, dude, Goodwill, midnight, you left your alma mater, and I'm like, I'm torn.
There's no right way to do it. There's no clean way to leave a school.
He was cashing in on his name. He's good at his job.
And the athletic department's incompetent. They lost the conference, and they're going down a level, and it's just like, nah. I don't know. I would let bygones be bygones, but I'm not in that fan base. So.
It feels like he's gonna be available. I'll tell you that much.
I read a couple of pieces out of East Lansing after the weekend of like that was
again. They might do it.
Guess where they are this weekend? They're on the road at Indiana.
Fat and happy Indiana.
Are they going to head trap game?
And I think he's switching quarterbacks because he played the other kid as much as he played Aiden Childs.
Yeah. Does Penn State make the right decision to fire James Franklin during the season? 54% of you say no. I voted no on that one too. We talked about it at length earlier in the show.
People connected to it, dude, disagree with that, and it's not just like message board fans. It's like media members are like, no, I'm not. I'm telling you, this was done.
Yeah.
Everybody, him and the players and everybody around it. Dunzo, but that's still $50 million's nuts.
$50 million is nuts, and I get that it has been ugly the last 3 weeks. Sharks are now going to circle, by the way, on that roster because I know their season has imploded, but there's still a lot of talent on that roster and some young guys, and they've already had a few decommitments from players, and I'm seeing other schools offer immediately guys hitting the decommitment button. So the Sharks will circle around Penn State football, and we'll see if they can respond. We have a doubleheader in baseball and a doubleheader in the NFL today.
Well, doubleheader in baseball. We have a twin bill in the NFL.
That's fine.
Not a doubleheader.
God, Rust. Here comes Rust taking a steamy dump all over us in the final segment.
Doubleheader is one game after the other, not running concurrently.
Mr. Semantics.
I mean,
people are already mad with how I'm saying words today again, so that's always fun to read.
What word did you say wrong?
I don't know. All of them, I guess. I mispronounce things.
Philanthropic?
I'd love to hear all the way you pronounce words. That didn't even sound right. Now I look like a bigger idiot, and I'm trying to make fun of you.
You're good at that.
Mariners and Blue Jays, 2 o'clock first pitch.
2:03.
2:03 to be exact.
2:03.
All the pressure on Toronto. Do we feel like it's 2-0 series lead?
Yeah.
Oh, Gilbert on the hill?
I think they have better pitching.
Okay.
And I think Toronto's choking.
Oh.
And I think Seattle's a team of
One
destiny.
game in, we're already choking. One game choke.
I think, dude, I just sometimes, teams have
you get
looks.
A vibe? You get a vibe from it?
Polanco
being
suddenly
the guy?
deadliest hitter in baseball. Don't put a runner on with him.
Don't do
He's
it.
going to get him in.
And then we get Dodgers and Brewers. It's a 5 o'clock start.
No
that
feel.
Is the second half.
I have zero feel.
Of the doubleheader, Jeff Rust.
If you tell me you know what's going to happen, Dodgers, Brewers, outside of just picking the most expensive roster, then good luck.
Can we trust tree it? How much of Game 5 Brewers and Cubs did you watch?
3 innings.
3 innings?
3 innings.
Good
Last
for
3.
you.
It was the last 3,
Good
to
for
be
you.
fair.
Good for you.
Did I miss the start of the Cubs? Yeah.
Did I forget it was on until I saw a text from Swag saying good for the Brewers? Or maybe it was from you. I don't remember who sent it. Yeah, I did.
When did the guy hit the towering home run?
At that time of the game.
That was about right after I started watching. I'm like, the Brewers might do this.
Go Brewers. And then we get a twin billing in Monday Night Football.
Thank you.
You happy now? Bills and Falcons, Bears and Commies. It's going to be a fun little Monday of football, folks. Fun little Monday of baseball. Good luck to all of your teams. We know we got some Falcons P1s out there. We got some Mariner P1s out there. We'll see how it all goes, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. Dirty Bird! All sorts of NFL leftovers, college football leftovers. We didn't get to how Auburn's got screwed this weekend. Dude, so much in the notes we didn't talk about. If you missed any of the show, go check it out, 1051thefan.com, 1051thefan on Twitter, at Dirt and Sprague on Twitter. We'll tweet out the podcast here as soon as we're done. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. A happy edition of the Firm of Harris and Meringue next on 1051 FM The Fan.
I'm Ryan Horvath, here to help you beat the books with the BetMGM Network.